We are back once again with another episode of the Uncivilized Arts Podcast, the Geek and Internet Culture Podcast. This is take two because we've been having some issues.
No. This is take three.
Take three? Is this
Yeah.
take three? Oh snap! Is this?
Yes.
Oh, okay. We've been having some issues today, so we're on take three, and hopefully this is a third and final take. It's going to be audio only podcast today. And yeah, we're gonna pretend it's audio only because actually even pretending like Celeste is doing a cosplay of Alistair from Hazbin Hotel, which is the main topic of today. And I just decided I'm gonna cosplay as the Funko Pop Barbara from Stranger Things. It's nothing to do with having computer issues. But here we are. Hopefully we are coming through on the audio just fine. Yeah, some things, but yeah, anyway, the show must go on, as they say. And we are doing this, and we are here. So welcome back, or if you're joining us for the very first time on the Uncivilized Art Podcast, welcome. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Hazbin Hotel, the show on Netflix. We're going to talk a little bit about the side-along show called Hell of a Boss, and yeah, we're going to be getting into some spoilers and stuff like that a bit later on. So you've been warned. If you've not seen it, then expect that a bit later on. If you have seen it, then cool. Or if you just don't care about spoilers, then that's cool too. But I'm joined once again by Celeste. Big up Celeste for sticking through. Celeste is a champion, by the way. Appreciate you, Celeste. Really do for all these issues we've been having on our third take, sticking through. Appreciate you. But yeah, we're how you doing, Celeste, for the third time?
Hi. I'm doing good. Happy to be here. With my son today. So if you hear cooing and little squealing, that's him. My firstborn is at daycare, but my second one is still a little bit too young. And so right now, hopefully he'll fall asleep. So it'll just be mommy talking. But doing well, working on my business. Life is going, and kids are growing. So I need to get strong.
We had a whole chat about breastfeeding in public, so I don't know if you want to do that again. It's a bit much. I appreciate it rather not. But was there any
talk about it again.
Highlights of that you want to just say?
We could do the TLDR.
Right.
Boobs are natural, made for making milk and producing. It's okay if they can't, but we shouldn't shun them and we shouldn't hide them. And it's up to the woman to feel if they're comfortable or not. It's people's bodies, and it's like we do what we need to do with them. And it shouldn't be like mandated, oh, that's so obscene. I can't believe she's exposing her breasts. And it's just like, but, it's a natural thing. There's tribes in the world where they're just like, oh, yeah, we just don't wear clothes because that's not a thing that we know about. Like, there's an island somewhere in the middle of like Indian Ocean, and some guy was like trying to be a missionary and going to the island, and there's like a government mandate that says do not approach this island, you will be killed. And he was warned. He's like, I'm gonna do it anyway, I'm gonna be the next Jesus Christ, and he died. But there's still like tribes that are unaffected by modern civilization, and those women don't care about their boobs being exposed. They don't know anything, like, oh, that's obscene. And it's like, yeah, that was not a TLDR. That was a whole tangent.
That was actually a little bit that we didn't say before, so that bit's new. At least we got some new information about boobs in the chat, and
Wow.
the more information about boobs, the better. I think boobs
We
are
can
great.
spread boobage.
Boobs are
Oh my God.
great.
Okay,
Boobs
so
are amazing. Small boobs, big boobs, medium boobs, whatever kind of
flat
boobs
boobs,
you have,
cherry
boobs are great.
boobs, pierced
Yeah,
boobs, tatted boobs.
exactly. You know, pointy nipple
Actually, I
boobs.
got some. I got some. A little bit. So yesterday I was playing League at night. I think it was yesterday, and it was so funny because I was like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah," and they're like, "What? You single? What? You a girl?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a girl. You want to check my OnlyFans?" And he's like, Okay, drop it. I'm like, just look up my like my username because I don't change my username. Like that's like so cliche to have so many different names. I'm like, I'm just fine having Celeste Orchid. You'll find it if you want to find it. But when I'm playing League, I like to drop it just to see what happens and what kind of interactions I get. And this guy was like, "Oh my eyes! Oh my Lord! You single? Oh my God, you need a partner?" And I was like, "Oh no, did I create a monster?" And then he like proceeded to kill me the whole game, but we won the match.
He
So
killed you. He said in the game. Wait,
yeah,
what?
yeah, in League of Legends, you
But
die, respawn kind of thing. But he targeted me a lot.
oh right, he was talking to you, but your team still. Oh, gotcha. Right,
Yeah, yeah. But to
right.
be fair, I was the healer, and that means that I don't have as much life, so I could die faster than anyone else. But it
Yeah, I
was just
guess
so funny. Yeah,
as a
he's like,
tactical
"Oh,
point, you want to
please."
go for the healer as well, so they can't heal the other members. Yeah, and
Exactly.
maybe he was a little bit on you as well. That's I guess it's like I guess he's trying to kill two
It
birds with one stone, like literally.
Exactly. But it was just kind of one of those moments of like, oh my God. It was so bad though, because when I was playing with this new person. She's like her username is like Grace765 or something. And like my other friend, it's just his name, which is Julian. And I'm just like, what's up? And he's like, oh, finally, we got voice chat working. He had computer issues as well. And then Grace had computer issues, so she couldn't even have her audio going. And I was like, okay, well, that's crazy. And she is actually a chick. So we were like having fun. And I was just being myself, which is like outrageous. If you ever start playing League, play on Northwest or like not Northwest, but North America. And then like you can play with me and my friends because I go insane. I don't know why, but I just get so animated. It's just so fun, and I hate that it's so fun. Like, yeah, but it's just so funny because I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, new person. You're voice chat and you hear me screaming and telling you things. I'm like, yeah, get him, kick his ass. Oh, he's gotta get away. Oh, that stupid bitch. Like, it's so bad. Even my husband's like, yeah, you can't be playing games while in the house. We got to make you an office.
Yeah, I was
So.
like, damn it, I've had enough of this. Like, I'm trying to watch the football.
No. He's trying to play Smash
All right,
because I
okay. So
quit playing
your noise is
Smash.
set. Okay. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
fair. It's fair. Speaking of League,
Yeah.
actually, the new series of Arcane, I
Arcane.
believe it should be out soon, right? I mean, I haven't checked the release date, but I think it's due at the end of the year or towards the end of the year. Is that right?
If I'm not mistaken, it's next month.
Next
It
month?
drops.
Ooh, that is soon. That
So
is
we
soon.
got a podcast coming up.
Indeed. I might have to
I'm super
rewatch the
excited.
first season, or at least check a recap or something, because I feel like I do remember what happened overall. But that season was what 2, 3 years ago at this point now. The first season.
I think it
Um,
was 3.
yeah.
It
So I feel
has
like
to
I
be
remember
because
a
it was
bit,
before my son
but
was. I remember a
ye-
lot of it. The TLDR is two sisters torn by political corruption. And then there's a magic involved, and like the advancement of technology causes them
yeah,
to drift off more apart because of a drug lord.
yeah, and the one crazy sister was like her father figure, well, her second father figure rather, dies at the end, and
Because
her first father figure already died at the beginning, and then she's
yeah,
like
most of the
arguing
times
with her
was her
sister,
fault.
and I think it ends with her blowing up a building with like a bunch of council people in there or something. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, and then there was like woman who like was a war woman, who has like that man eat her out while she's talking about war tactics or something. Um,
You fully check.
did that happen or did I make that up?
You're kind of making that part up. They do shebang-a-lang, but they don't talk about business at the same time.
All right, okay. That might be my brain just imagining there was just like she was just getting eaten out, talking. Yeah, we need to blow these guys and cause war and kill people. Yeah, I guess I made that bit up.
I
Could have been
think you
cool
need to
though.
rewatch the series now.
Yeah,
Maybe you downloaded the wrong one.
that's what you get when you download stuff from LimeWire. You just
Yes, get off of Pirate Bay.
like, oh wait, I thought it was Arcane. It's like, no, this is I know.
Ass Kane.
Oh yeah, that's Kane. Yeah, that's probably what I watched.
Eating her out.
Uh,
Got it.
yeah. Actually, I don't think there was any boobs in Arcane, or was there? I don't think there was any
Um,
boobs in Arcane. I don't remember any
no,
boobs.
it was generally pretty clean,
Yeah,
but there was instances of like sexual attention.
yeah. I think there was a few scenes where there's like the boobs are like slightly off camera and stuff like that, but they don't actually show them.
Yeah, there's no gratuitous like nudity.
Yeah, no nipples.
Shit. Oh my god, no boobs. What are we gonna do?
Speaking of
Speaking of
boobs,
that,
actually.
yeah. What?
You know what's always kind of interested me because we're talking about breastfeeding and the kind of sexualization of boobs and that whole thing, and it's kind of funny like if you watch TV these days or movies or whatever, it's like they'll have like a woman wearing like a low cut dress or something, or just some kind of like really kind of drop down whatever, and basically the woman's showing pretty much every single part of her breast skin except the nipple. And for some reason, it's like you can show pretty much all of that, and that's like I don't know, what do you call it? Like I don't know, PG or whatever, 15. I don't know what kind of ratings they give it. But as soon as you show the nipple, all of a sudden that's too much, and it's like completely X-rated, and it's like you literally just show everything. You know what I mean? Like you've got the whole boob out, and it's just the nipple that's covered.
Ooh,
And
that's a
then
big
you've shown the nipple, and
yes.
that puts it into a whole new like category of what's appropriate and what's what I mean. And I just kind of feel like, really, like for like I don't know a few inches, like or you know what I mean, like for that. I don't know. That's always been weird to me. But hey, like you say, weird people are weird.
I think there's a lot of weirdness to it because it's like, oh, watch me wear nipple tassels, and like the whole breast is exposed but the nipple. And it's like, can you imagine the opposite? Oh, let me have an entire fabric covering except the nipple.
You're right. Yeah.
Like,
What race
watch
does
that
that get?
be.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's like, now it's a crime against fashion. How could you? It's like, yeah, but that didn't stop like Cardi B. No, who was it? Whitney Houston from having like a shell, a mermaid bodysuit, and then one nipple hang. No, one boob out with a shell covering it. So it's kind of like, what about it?
Oh, I think I need to about. No,
Hi.
that was Lil Kim.
Yeah, daily tongue. So yeah,
Oh,
I
I don't
can.
know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Whitney Houston did it as well. Not, but I remember Lil Kim definitely did it.
Yeah, yes, Snack Melon.
Oh,
Yeah. Woo. We
but
just got a
yeah.
package.
Oh, okay, nice. Good delivery.
Yes, it's from Doggins. Hi, hi. Yeah, these are heavy. Oh my gosh. I didn't realize we were getting these today. I thought my husband said Wednesday, not Tuesday.
Oof.
Anyways, it's a good thing I'm not on camera because then I wouldn't be able to move around and do this.
Oh,
Anyway,
maybe
but
maybe
yeah,
some
so it's
benefits
just
audio
like
then.
there's a lot of benefits today for Jean just Alistair cosplaying, right?
Indeed. Yeah.
So,
Well. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Go.
yeah, so it's just kind of like I feel kind of strange as a woman being like, oh yeah, we should always cover our breasts, blah blah blah. But I'm like, but why? Like, why is that such a bad thing? And it kind of reminds me back to the Harold and Kumar movie or something, like Escape
Okay.
from Guantanamo.
Okay, I haven't seen that one, but all right, carry on.
You haven't? Okay.
No, I've seen the
So
first
there's
one,
a
but yeah.
scene. Okay. So it's not really a movie worth spoiling, like, or saying like it's a spoiler, but it happens in the movie where they end up at this like drug lord's house. And in order for you to enter the house, you have to follow the dress code. The dress code is you have to take your entire bottoms off. So, like, your ass is out, your pubes are out, your dicks and balls are hanging out. And he's like, that's part of the dress code. So it's just like, all right, that's the thing. And it was like so different. I was like, oh my God, what is this? And he's like, I'm used to seeing, just boobs and man's nipples, but I wanted to do something different. So it's balls out, like pants off. And so I was like, oh, interesting.
Hmm.
So that was that thing. Like, can you imagine if it was like the complete inverse? Like, oh yeah, it's so acceptable to be shirtless, right? Oh yeah, but why isn't it pantsless?
Yeah. To walk around with
I
like
don't think I.
Lady Garden out, arson for
Yeah,
JJ.
right. I mean, because like I don't know if you know this, but I did the TV show 10 years ago now called Dating Naked, and that was
Okay,
that
yeah.
was a lot out, and I did it because I'm just like, you know what, why not live life, and it was fun, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't think this is a lifestyle that I would choose to be like in a nudist colony, and then somehow it just kind of like a lot of people were just like, "Oh, so you're into being nude, right? Like that's your thing?" I'm like, "Not really. I'm not a never nude, but I'm like in the right spots like if I need to be, yeah, I will. Like the shower. I'm not going to wear
No,
socks
yeah.
in the shower.
You'd have to be. I
Every
mean, you
nudes
get your
will
wet, you
always like
get your clothes wet otherwise. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like if I go to a masseuse and they're like, "Okay, you have to be nude." I'll be nude because I want my damn massage, right? But I'm not going to just casually walk around my neighborhood being like, "Oh yeah, I'm naked today. Hi, John. I know, like, thanks for helping me with plumbing last week."
I mean,
Like, that's not
that
a
was
situation
funnier
like
than I
that.
think you intended, but
But you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
there are just times when it just makes sense and times when it's not. Like, yeah, okay.
uh, no, indeed, indeed. And that's
But
the
yeah,
thing. I
this
feel
all
like
stems because of
people have
like
choices,
nipple.
and yeah, and people should have choices. You know, I mean, ultimately, it's like for me, I'm not against it. I mean, I would say, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, my views are probably more conservative. But at the same time, it's like people should need to live their lives the way they want to live their lives, and it's none of my
Without
business
hurting
what
others,
people do.
right?
And yeah, as long as you're not hurting nobody or anything like that, then yeah, it's not none of my business what somebody else does. And if you don't want to see certain things, then just don't go to those places where those things are being done. So
Yeah, just
you know,
just close your eyes and walk
yeah,
away.
yeah.
Like if someone wants to get a tattoo, it's their body. Go ahead. If it looks bad, oh well, too bad. It's on their body. It's not yours. Like if someone wants to expose their boobies, like that's them, you know? That's not you. No one's forcing you. No one's putting like you to do it to shame you. No blackmailing involved. So I don't
Mm,
know. There's just so many things about people thinking, "Oh, well, this person did it and I don't like that." It's like, but you're not the one doing it, so why does it matter?
exactly. Exactly. It's just like, you know what? Just
It only, I guess, there's another point to it though, because like, can you imagine if the king did something like that? He's like, I'm gonna walk around, which it wouldn't happen, but hypothetically, can you imagine if like some government official or some high person was like, oh yeah, this is the new standard. I want to walk around with my balls out. Like, uh, not gonna happen, but hypothetically, not trying to insult anyone if they do. But it's like if that becomes a standard to like desexualize the human body,
I don't know, King Charles walking around with his willy out though.
wouldn't that change society?
Hey, I mean he's king. I guess he can do it if he wants to,
Oh
but
my god, that's so funny hearing you say it.
he could if he could
Yeah,
like, you
that
know
would
what?
bring shame
I,
on
ju-
the entire.
I just want to walk around with my willy out today. I'm 70 some was I don't know how old he's 77, 70 whatever years old today. I've never done this before, so why not? I'm the king and I can do what I want. Let me get my willy out. Benson, help me take these trousers off and make sure my arse is clean. I
Doff
don't want.
my trousers and make
Yeah,
sure I'm free as the seagulls above me.
exactly. Yes. Make sure my bum hairs are clean. I want to set a good standard.
Oh my god, that's awful.
um.
Yes, that
So,
sounds like a play in the making. I would totally, if that was a real show, I would watch it in a heartbeat.
what Naked King? Hello.
No, it's just
Oh,
just
okay, still
the
there.
like craziness of that because you
Okay.
can't fathom it. Everyone like a lot of shows these days. Yeah, what? Like a lot of shows these days, they're just like, okay, here I'm gonna backstab someone because I can because I don't like them. It's never about someone just being crazy balls to the wall psycho. You know what I'm saying? Like not psycho, but like just different. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to do this because I feel like it. I think this would be fun. I want my willy swaying and swaying as I sing Bon Jovi.
Top of the
Idea.
lungs as well. Top of the lungs. If you're gonna do Bon Jovi, top of the lungs. Top of the lungs.
Top of the
No,
lungs.
no half-ass in it. Just like bollocks out.
Oh,
Standing on top of a mountain.
Slight segue. Because I finished Emily in Paris. I don't know if that's something that you would be interested in. But there's
you know
this
what?
special...
I might be, but well, we'll see. I mean, it's kind of not. Well, yeah. No, never say never. Never say never.
Okay, if you want to get into it, it's a slight romance comedy. I mainly watch it for the fashions, but you know, the romance part doesn't hurt either. They're not my type. So, there's this part of the show where one of the girls, she's a singer, she decided to do a cabaret, but the cabaret is kind of like one of those striptease cabarets and does full like topless. And she's like, I learned that I can't sing when my boobs are exposed, because then she's Chinese. So she's like, yeah, that's not good in Asian culture. And she tried it for practicing, you know, conditioning. And she's like, so she can't sing. So she's like, how am I going to perform this gig if I can't sing topless? So you'll just have to see.
All right.
I think a lot of people would perform differently in life if they had to be naked the whole time, or topless, or vulnerable,
no, for sure.
For that matter.
Sure. Especially if you're not used to it. Like, I feel like once you got used to it, you don't even think about it. I'd imagine anyway. Not that I talk from experience, but yeah. I feel like if you could perform on stage and you normally do that, but then all of a sudden you got to do it while naked, it's a whole different kind of like awareness of self, I think. So yeah, I'd imagine that's that to be so.
It can also boost your self-confidence or break you, you know? And like, if you want in the future, and if future Celeste and Band...
Hello? You still there? Hello?
We can discuss it with the Dating Naked podcast. Yeah.
All right. Sorry, the audio kind of cut out a little bit, but...
Hello?
Yeah. Hello? Hello?
I can hear you. I'm just making sure you can hear me, because you didn't tell me.
I can hear you now. I can hear you now. But yeah, I think the audio did cut out for a little bit. I think all I heard, or what I think I heard, was you say you wanted to discuss the Dating Naked podcast at some point. Dating Naked show on a podcast at some point.
Yeah, we could totally do that, because it is there. I've only seen season 1. There's 3 seasons, and I know the cast. It's been 10 years. And I think it would be fun to reflect on that, since we have gotten very deep in today's topic.
I mean, it could be something we could do, but I don't know if I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I'd want to watch that show, though. So I think if we do it, I'd be like, you watch it, and I'd be like, I'll just ask questions. It might be like that. But
I mean, I've seen it. So.
Yeah, it could be
mini podcast. Anyway.
But
so, yeah. Cool. I think the main point I wanted to make with that, there was this guy, he went on the show, he was supposed to get naked for the date, right? Instead, he pulled his trousers back up, and he's like, I'm not doing this. I have a family, like my family, my mom and dad will like shun me. I can't do it. And it sounded like he was like a nice guy, but he just last minute decided not to. So they got it on camera that he like backed out.
He went on a show called Dating Naked. What was he expecting?
Oh yeah, and like the whole process too. Like they during the interview process, they asked you, are you comfortable stripping down to your underwear? Are you comfortable stripping down to naked? And it's like, yeah. So it was definitely one of these long, like multiple interviews, ensuring like mentally you can handle doing this. And then I think it's once the cameras were on, because they did record us taking off our clothes, not like watching us disrobe, but like to the ground. So like they had our feet and then our clothes come off there.
Wait, so, did a naked show that you did though? Is that related to the one that's on Is it Netflix? Or because I know there's a Dating Naked show that's currently going around. Is that the same, like, I don't know, relation, or is that like a complete different date
I
you
don't.
could show?
I think it's different because I don't know the one on Netflix, but the one that I was on is on Paramount Plus.
Okay. Okay, I might be mixing things up because I've seen something about dating naked being advertised recently. Um, I
Oh,
guess I
that's
assumed it
strange.
was Netflix, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe it
You
was
know
Paramount
what?
Plus.
It could be that they're like, what is this? That they're posting it on different regions, like region differences. You know what I'm saying?
All right,
Just now.
let's see.
Oh, you're looking it up now.
Yeah.
He
Um,
wants to know.
but yeah, I mean, the one you did, we said was about 10 years ago. So if it is
Yeah.
related, I guess it'd be like season 25,000 by now or something.
Nope. They canceled it after season 3.
Oh, then they brought it. Maybe they brought it back. I see. I see. I see. I see. All right, no bother. No bother. Dating Naked UK.
It's a
Was yours in
UK.
America or no? No, you wasn't in America, was it? I think because I remember you telling me
So
about it.
technically, so we got casted in Los Angeles, but we were
Ah,
flown
okay.
out to Panama. The second time they were flown out to the Philippines.
Ah, okay. So you got to go to your family heritage home, right?
No, I wasn't in season 2.
Oh, okay.
I
That
was only
sucks.
season 1.
Man,
I
if when you went to go
know,
to season two, you
but
could have got like a maybe you got to see grandma
yeah,
or something. I mean, like,
no, my grandparents lived in the U.S.
oh, okay, never mind.
Just my cousins. But then, like, it's crazy because like as soon as I finished dating naked, I actually got into a new relationship, and it's like didn't expect it to happen, but it kind of happened. And then I was in that relationship for 2 years, so me doing dating shows would be a lie, and I don't like that. I have better morals than that.
Yeah, yeah. You can't, I mean, if you're with somebody, yeah, you probably shouldn't be trying to be with somebody else. So, a bit awkward, I
Yeah,
guess.
right. It's like not for TV exposure. I don't feel like that's right. Like I did DN for the experience, for meeting people, and like why not? If I auditioned for it and I was single, I'm gonna say like why not? But now that I'm taken, I'm not gonna go for a dating show. I'm not desperate. I'm like desperate for attention, not
Yeah.
desperate for love. Because like you never know what you can find. Okay, like some people like can't find true love on shows like that. I'm not saying it happens often, but it could.
I mean, I don't know about that particular show. I know there's other dating shows where people have, gotten married afterwards, and remember like Cilla Black used to do the was it Blind Date way back in the day. And a few people from that show ended up getting married and that kind of thing. So I mean, yeah, it's possible, definitely possible.
Yeah, like there's that one. It's Love Is Blind on Netflix, and
Oh,
the
that's probably the
season
Netflix
one.
one I was
There's
thinking of
this.
actually. Love is Blind. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah. That's what I was thinking of. I got confused,
yeah.
but yeah, I
So
think that's the one.
I
Sorry.
for, yeah, no worries. So there's this guy. He's like a white guy, and he meets this girl, and he's like, "I'll take care of you. I love you so much, and I've just been lonely." And she's like, "It sounds like you really need someone to love you back." And like they really fell for each other because she posts all the time. Well, she used to. I don't check anymore. Um, how much she loves him and like, oh, look at his glow up. Like now that he's married to me, he looked like some nerd. Now he looks like a stud. And it's like, yeah, he's got some flavor to him. And he's still that loving man that I met behind the screen. And like, with Love is Blind, you don't get to meet them until they propose to you. And that's how it
That's
works out. Like you don't have
crazy.
a dating. But I mean, they look so happy. Like they're glowing. I'm like, that seems rare, but you know what? It happened and it works for them and they just like perfect for each other.
Indeed. I mean, love is love in the end of the day, right? So it's like people.
Like true love. Yeah.
I guess these days people meet each other in very non-traditional ways. Just anyway, like dating apps have become such a massive part of Western culture in the last, I guess, what 5, 6, 7 years or whatever it's been. So people, I guess, are more open to the idea of meeting people in just these different non-traditional ways. So hey, if it works, it works. If you
Also,
meet somebody that you click with, yeah, good for you. You know.
there's like the whole like non-courting thing. Because like before, back in the day of like heydays, you had to be like chaperoned, you have to be courted, you had to like say like, oh yeah, here's flowers, like let's go on a date. Dates were different. And then it wasn't like, okay, after the third date, like we can have sex, like kind of thing. It's like, no, you usually waited to marriage or something. It wasn't like, okay, let's just hook up and bye. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Mm,
whole idea of courtship and dating and relationships has like become so lax. A lot of people don't really understand like a traditional value with it unless like they really take their time. And then when people take their time, they're like really courting each other. It's like, okay. So, I
mm,
mean, it's just a different instance that people just don't get. Because, like,
yeah.
think about it. In our dating society, it's like, okay, let's go see a movie if you can afford it, and then we'll go for dinner. And then there's a lot of guys that are like, oh, did you get lucky on the first date? Or let's just Netflix and chill. And it's like, okay. Nothing wrong with that. I've done like just to hang out with people, just like watching shows, and I passed out on them. My bad.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's definitely a different space now, and I mean, I guess some things stay the same, right? But it is, I guess, a different landscape of what's expected from the guy, what's expected from the girl, things like that, and do you go for the kiss on the first date? Do you go for a little bit more on the first date, or do you just shake hands and part ways? And and I think different people come at it
Give a
from
hug.
different values, which I mean that's going to happen, right? You're always going to if you're meeting somebody somewhere, it's very possible that the values you have are going to be different from the values they have, and so the things that you might think are totally fine and respectful, they might think is like maybe super backwards and unnecessary, and it kind of it's one of those things that just might mean that yeah maybe you two weren't right for each other, you know what I mean, and that's kind of part of what should well at least should be part of I guess the dating side of things, because it is that time where you're supposed to get to know somebody, and not necessarily like you go out with somebody with expectation that that's the person you're going to marry. It's like we get to know each other, we see if we match. If not, cool. I mean, if we do, then great. If not, then cool. You kind of keep it moving and go on the next date, then go on the next date. But yeah, I guess somewhere along that lines is that you have an expectation of, even if you're not going to stay together, some people have that expectation of no, if we're going out and I'm paying for your meal, then yeah, I'm getting into bed with you, and then I'll decide later if I like you or not. And
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
yeah, there's definitely, or I say definitely, it's seemingly uh I mean that's not new, I suppose. That's not new, but maybe that's become a bit more kind of prevalent in recent times. Um, and I think for a lot of women, at least from outsider looking in type thing, there is that kind of maybe you meet a guy, you kind of like him, you think there could be something there, you're not entirely sure, but maybe you don't necessarily want to go too far on the first date, but you're also thinking if I don't, maybe I'll put him off, and that kind of thing. And maybe you start going, then maybe the woman feels a bit pressured to, especially I think with maybe younger women might feel a bit more pressure to go for something they don't necessarily want to be doing, but might be thinking that's what they need to be doing because that's what guys expecting and that's what you're supposed to, that whole thing. Um, yeah, and I feel like
Yeah,
there's this a whole kind of mishmash of trying to figure out what you want versus trying to figure out what they want, and trying to second guess everything and trying to fit it all together. And I'll just say, look, do what you feel you're comfortable doing and nothing more. You know, for both the guy and the girl, just do what you feel you're comfortable doing, nothing more. And if the guy does something, or if anybody does something that you're not comfortable with, let them know. Let them know,
exactly.
because
And the other part too is the inception stuff too, like the grooming kind of ideas. It's like, oh
mm,
yeah, let me just plant the seed of, oh, you'd look so much better if you did this. Like,
oh yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, it's not what they want to do. Like, oh, I like it if you got this tattoo here. Now you're stuck with that unless you like get surgery to remove it.
You know,
You know what I'm saying?
I ain't claiming to be no dating expert or anything like that, but anybody, any ladies or indeed any men out there, if you're with somebody who's telling you things like, oh, you'd look better if you did this way, or if you look better if you did that way. And I'm not talking about a general kind of once in a while type jet throwaway comment. I'm talking about somebody who does that like pretty regular, you know, oh, you should do this, or you should wear that, or you should, you know, that kind of thing. Red flag, like red flag, especially if they're doing it in the first, like, I don't know, day or the first time or first maybe short period of time that you've met them. They're already telling you how to improve. Like, you know, red flag, red flag. That
Usually.
person is not interested in you. They're interested in how they think you can make them look. And
Yeah,
those
they're interested in having you fit their person, like what they want.
exactly, and all that stuff about, oh, you should look better if you do this or you look better if that. What it really translates to is, I think people that have a better view of me if they see me with a girl or if they see me with a guy that has this thing. That's what that means.
Right.
You know, that's what that means. That's a massive red flag. They don't like you. It's just the idea of what they think you do for them or what you could do for them.
Right.
So yeah, red
And I
flag.
mean, I would say I'm decent at dating advice. I'm not gonna say I'm perfect, but hey, I am married. Um, I've had
Married, two
quite a
kids. You kind of
few.
did it right.
Yeah, I mean, took a while, but it happened. Like before I was 30. Woo! But what I'm gonna say is like ultimately there are some people who are just happier without having someone. So
Hmm.
there's that in a
Well,
bag
this
of
is true.
chips.
This is true.
You
And
know,
ain't nothing
you
wrong with
don't
that.
have
If
to feel
that's,
pressured
yeah.
to. Yeah, you don't have to be with someone to validate your existence. Like, here's something to chew your brain. Would you be with someone if they were like, as long as you're happy, I'm happy. And if I can make you happy, that makes me happy. Would you be with that person?
Um, the way I'm thinking about it, I feel like that's a type of relationship that doesn't last. I feel like if you're with someone like that, maybe it's okay in the beginning, but I think inevitably, I don't think that's the type of relationship that lasts. Because the reason being is that if their whole thing is about, you know, you're like, they just want to make you happy. It's like, okay, but what about that person? You know, what are you doing? Like, that doesn't sound like an ideal partner for me, to be honest. Like, that sounds like something that's too heavily leaning towards me. And although that sounds great, and you know, oh yeah, my happiness, and I'm great, but it's like I don't know if I can be with somebody long term if they're solely focused on just doing what I want, because it's like, well, who are you then? You know what I mean? Who's this person
Exactly.
that I'm sharing my life with? You know, it's like I feel like any good relationship is gonna have its say. I don't know, maybe not ups and downs is the right way to describe it, but you're going to
But
have
no,
like friction,
individualism, you know?
right? You know, you're gonna have times where you disagree. You're gonna have times where you want to do something, they want to do something else, and that's part of how you figure out where you balance. It's part of how you figure out who that person is and how they figure out who you are. And the more you know about them, the better you can love them, right? The more they know about you, the better they can love
Exactly.
you. And you figure out a balance of how everybody gets what they want, you know. And I think that's, I mean, kind of going back to what I said about values. Like, if you're with somebody whose values match, right, then even when you have problems, you know, even when you're not on the same page, at the very least, you know, you're reading from the same book, right? Whereas
Right.
if you're with somebody whose values are completely different from yours, every problem becomes a massive issue. You know, every small thing becomes a massive issue. So though maybe it's great in the beginning where it's like, oh, I get to do what I want, she does what I want, everything's about what I want. You know, once that novelty wears off, it's like you're with somebody you
Now
don't
what?
know. You know, everything's about you. There's no real discussions anytime because it's always what you want. You know, you're basically with somebody who's feeding your ego, and
Oh,
yeah,
easily. A simp.
right, and I don't see that as healthy. Like, so, yeah. No.
It's very dangerous.
I
Yeah,
don't
and
see
I'm
that as
asking
healthy
that
for you
because
or them.
no, it's not healthy for anyone. And I've had a situation where I was courting, like dating. We went on dates. I never did anything more physical than a hug. I'm putting that on the record so everyone knows it was nothing more than hugs. Um, I've never kissed him. We've held hands. No, actually, I don't think we held hands. We never held hands. No, that's a lie. We did not hold. We didn't hold hands. Wow, we were less than Japanese couple in animes. Oh, so sad. But we didn't hold hands. So impure. But when you hold hands, that's kind of like a symbol of like, oh yeah, we're together kind of situation, right?
Hmm.
Or like, oh yeah, I like you. Let me have physical touch with you. A lot of people don't understand that these days. Like physical touch. Oh yeah, let me just spank your butt. It's like there's more to it than that. So, I mean, this person was very like, oh, if I just don't understand, if you're happy, it makes me happy. I don't have a need for anything else. I just want to be with you. And I'm like, no, that doesn't, no, no, no.
Hmm.
That doesn't make sense because you've existed before meeting me and you were happy that way, or were you just content? Either way, you were living your life just fine. And then after you meet me, your whole entire world revolves around me. Like that doesn't compute. You still have to have your own things. If we have the
Yeah.
same things that we like I could still like video games, but that doesn't mean I'm going to play hours of Minecraft with you or Call of Duty or Battlefield, right? I might want to
Hmm.
play hours of Animal Crossing or League of Legends. That still shows individualism, but we can still
Yeah.
have favor in the same things.
Yeah,
But
exactly. I mean, you don't have to like everything exactly the same. And, I actually think it's possible to be with somebody who doesn't have any of your interests. Like if you like video games, they might hate video games. If you like movies and they hate movies, they
oh
like
wait,
sports and
no.
you hate sports. I feel like you can be with somebody who doesn't necessarily share your interests as long as you kind of share at least some kind of commonality in terms of you like each other, or I don't know, like, what I mean, like you don't necessarily have to do everything. In fact, I'll say that any good relationship, you have to have things that you do just by yourself. you know
Oh,
you have to have
absolutely.
things that you just
You
do by
need to.
yourself. Otherwise it's
Yeah,
like you're
absolutely.
with them all the time, and yeah, that's great in the beginning. But then it's like, okay, if you're with each other all the time, it's like if you're having all the same experiences, then what are you talking about? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like,
like
oh yeah, I was there. Yeah, and then it's, yeah, I was there. I know what happened. I was there. I was right there. I was next to you. I saw it. And then when he did that thing, yeah, oh, yeah. It's like, what, you know what I mean?
but
So like, yeah, I feel like you have to have things that you do just by yourself, they do just by themselves, and you come together and you make it work. So like, I mean, it's great if you have cool things in common. I ain't saying that, by the way, but I do feel like you need to have things that you just do that's just you, and things that they
exactly.
do that are just them.
One of those things that I would say is like knitting and crocheting. Like you can't knit and crochet together. Like you can't use the same pair of needles together like the ghost scene with the pottery, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
No, it doesn't work like that. So,
yeah,
it's like regardless, you know, you could be in the same room knitting and crocheting, but you aren't doing the same activity. Like you're not
yeah.
putt-putting like mini golf together.
And you definitely want to be focused on your own knitting, otherwise you might stab yourself. So that
Oh
could
no,
be
if
an
they're
issue.
not, most needles are not stabby. They're not like sewing needles. They won't. You can't draw blood unless
You
you
can't
really
stab his. Oh,
try.
okay, that's a shame. Actually, no. To be fair, I guess with knitting, not yeah, not like sewing. Knitting's like with the long. Uh,
Yeah,
what
because
are they
with
called?
sewing, you could definitely
Knitting.
be sewing the same garment together.
I'm showing my ignorance about knitting right now. Those long Wolverine
It's the
claw
two
things.
needles kind of thing.
Yeah,
They're
and like
pointy,
you hold
look
the
like
wool and you wrap
chopsticks.
it around, and then
Yes,
you make like a
and it creates.
scarf or something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Oh, and
knitting.
blanket. I love making blankets. Like it's just cute to see them like wrapped up and bundled up and nice and cozy in something that I made. Like you feel like a wizard. like when you knit or crochet, because it's like, here's a ball of yarn. I'm going to fabricate it into this nice thing to keep you warm. And now it's like, yay, look, I have a blanket. It keeps me warm. Woo!
It's
It came
creativity,
out of
isn't it?
nowhere.
Like, just like, I feel like anytime you have, well, anything you do creative is a cool thing for me. Like, that's my kind of my thing. Like, I think I've said this before, but whatever, I say it again. Like, I feel like my biggest passion is just being creative and trying to find different ways of being creative. And whether so, I mean, I've never, well, no, yeah, no, I don't think I ever tried knitting. I remember I did try do crocheting when I was in school, and I have sewn like buttons, but I guess I haven't been creative in that field. Um, so yeah, maybe that's something to try next. Maybe that's something to try next. Being creative with knitting,
A
but
1000%. Like, okay, mini side tangent. So this one friend, I'm gonna call him a friend. He deserves it. I don't like talking to him too much because he's neurotic. So sorry if you listen to this podcast. Anyways, so it was his first time cosplaying. He's like, I really want to make this character. I want to make the flames. I want a wig, and I want to get it like perfect, and like get these colors. And he's like super anal on detail. I'm like, dude, cosplay is art. Like, you don't have to make it perfect. You can make it more personal. You can add details. That's part of the fun about it. Like, if you make everything super screen accurate, and you're not going to be that character anyways, because you're still you underneath the outfit. That's what cosplay is. It's costume play. And another part to it was that he was like, okay, how do I make the fire? I'm like, okay, you get this plastic and you gotta heat it up with a flame. But first we're gonna color it. He's like, I just don't get it. I'm like, oh, I see. I literally have to baby steps with you. Okay. And he's like, how do I attach it? I'm like, well, we could glue it, or you want it with or without like removing it. And it was just like this whole creative process. And it was so funny because when he got his wig, he's like, this wig doesn't look like anything. I just took it out of the bag and put it on. I'm like, that's not what you do. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, Maria's like, you have to, like, Celeste, you got to remember, you've been doing this for 20 years. So you got to give a little bit of patience to someone that just started like right now with you, who's looking for guidance. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, bring the wig over. Let me see it. And I'll show you how to fluff it out. I was like, oh, okay. So I played with the wig. I like tossed it in the air like 4 times. And then I'm like, look, now it's anime. He's like, wow, just like that. It was like magic to him. For me, I'm like, this is nothing. So it's just so interesting to have such rose-colored lenses for creativity, but be so like novice and not knowing like, oh my God, I can create these with my own hands. And he was really excited too when he made the fire. He's like, so I just burned the plastic? I'm like, yeah, you hold it over the candle like this. He's like, can you just show me? I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a few and then you're going to try it because I want you to experience the creativity part. And he really enjoyed it. And then he got pictures of it. He felt so cool. He actually got a girlfriend because of the cosplay, but then he realized like she doesn't like him for him. She liked him because of the cosplay, and he got really heartbroken because of it.
that's sad. Oh,
I mean, that's people, you know.
yeah, yeah.
They,
Some people are just
once you
assholes.
I wouldn't say assholes, but it's just like when you idolize and love a character too much, you lose the fact that like someone cosplaying as them is not that character.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
I think that's what happened, and it just wore off really fast. And he also said, okay, another tangent back on the dating thing, people. You don't ask, when can we have sex? Like, that is like a hard never say that thing. Like, that's an instant, okay, that's a red never flag. Like, and he's like, we even had a talk before he went to ask his girlfriend at the time. He's like, but how do I know? How do I know when we could do that? I'm like, you don't know. You don't. You're not supposed to know. He's like, but I want to know. I'm like, you're not supposed to know. It's just gonna happen. Like, it's gonna happen if it's meant to happen. Like, that's really how it is. And I'm like, you could take the initiative, but you do not ask. But guess what this little boy did? He went and asked his girlfriend, so when would it be okay for us to have it? I'm like, you don't do that. And then they broke up like 2 days later. I'm like, you killed your relationship because you asked a red flag question. I told you not to. Now you learned the hard way. Now you're single. Now you're heartbroken.
Yeah, you know
You
what?
know,
That's I mean, I don't disagree with you, but I also feel like I understand where he's coming from because it's like there's so many things out there about consent and how to initiate and things like that. And yeah, I could see why somebody could be super confused about what to do and how to do it. I'm assuming he's maybe a younger dude as well.
20.
And 20, yeah, younger guy. That's maybe just kind of
Okay,
like,
so not to cut you off, but let me give you a little bit more context. First girlfriend, age 20, 1 week in, already asking for sex. That's a red flag. You don't
it
do
is.
that maybe 2 months in, but you can ask and consent after like the fourth month, maybe, maybe like the second month. You could be like on a nice date, you finish the date, you liquor it up a little and just be like, hey, is it okay if I come back and crash at your place? Like, that's how you ask. You don't just blatantly put it on the table, like balls to the wall, like
Yeah,
skeet, skeet, skeet. Like,
yeah.
no,
So,
no,
excuse me, but I was just wondering if if you don't mind, if we could if I could come over and we could
just stick it in you,
if yeah, if I put my my thing in inside your thing, and maybe wiggle it about a bit.
Oh my God. Okay, segue. Segue into my favorite moment into Hazbin Hotel. It's like episode 7. Sir
Okay, yeah.
Pentis, he's going up to Miss Cherry Bomb. He's like, you mean you're taking me out like on a date? What does one wear? And then later in the episode, he's just like, Miss Cherry Bomb, I see they have sex rooms. I would like to do that sex with you. Why would I do that? Because I'm having sex with
Oh yeah. What was it? Pentious? What's his
but
name?
see,
Pretentious?
but
But yeah, the snake guy.
that is my favorite episode. But anyways, my point is, he still was consenting to the person he likes, and he did it wrong. And guess what? He still didn't get sex with her.
Yeah.
I'm saying there is a formula to it, but I'm not telling
Yeah.
you how to do it because everyone is their own individual. This is light advice and you can take it or leave it, but this is a very like green advice. Do not say, when can we have sex?
Yeah. It's probably not going to go well. It's probably not.
Absolutely.
Like almost certainly not.
That's
But
like an almost breakup like
yeah.
line because that did happen with me. One of my exes, when I was wee young, I would say like 19 or 20, like he's like, I can't wait to teach you how to love. I'm like, oh God, don't fucking talk to me ever again. Like, out of all the dumb shit I've heard in my life up until that point, that was probably the worst one. He's like, oh, I only see you once a week and I can't wait to teach you how to love. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need to date you anymore.
But how old is that guy?
I think he was 23 at the time.
Yeah, no, you
He
should
was
know
older
better
than
by
me.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't say stupid shit like that.
that sounds like something you hear in a movie, and it was maybe cool in the movie, but then it just doesn't work in real life. It just
I
doesn't
mean,
work
he
in
was
real life. Like,
attractive. Like, it doesn't matter how hot you are. Actually, maybe because Brad Pitt came up and said, "I want to teach you how to love." I'll be like, I mean, you're Brad Pitt, young Brad Pitt,
are we
maybe.
talking like Fight Club era Brad Pitt?
Oh, young. Was it Louis? Because he's not Lestat in Interview with the Vampire.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yep,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'd
yeah,
take
yeah.
it.
When was
I'd
that?
take
That was
it.
like 90 something, late
Eight,
90s, 98. So yeah,
yeah,
about that time, same
1998,
time as
99.
about the same time as Fight Club. So yeah, that era, late 90s, Brad Pitt, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, he was a good looking
Yeah,
dude. He was a good looking dude. He had a
yeah.
six pack as well. So
Well, yeah.
yeah.
I'm just saying, there's a limit on who could say that. And then, like, I'm sorry, but if you're not young 90s Brad Pitt saying that, you might not get the response you want.
Yeah, you know what? There's like but we're off on a tangent right now. But okay. Anyway, but there's like
Today's tangent is not Hazbin Hotel.
yeah, we'll get to that eventually.
I mean, I slightly touched it, but we're back on the other one.
Yeah, before we get to we woke up, yeah. But yeah, this is thing that it's kind of a thing that is true and not true, I think, where people will say that the difference between confidence and creepy is how much she likes you, you know. And it's like there it's not true in the sense that I mean you could be just mad creepy, you know, regardless of how much he likes you, and yes, you're going to be creepy, right? But then you know, I think it's fair to say that I've seen examples of you know somebody being like reasonably okay but being called creepy, and somebody being a way weird and being called confident. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe some truth to that. But
it's all about the recipient at that point, because it's like, is it confidence to go up? It takes self-confidence, like, to go up to a stranger and initiate conversation. But it's also like how the recipient takes it, because if they don't like it, then you're creepy with confidence. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're just like a creepy guy, and it's like, yeah, not
that
today.
has way too much like self-esteem for that.
Yeah, not today.
Also, if they don't know when to back off either, that's a creepy thing. Because like, can you imagine, like, say you and I are celebrating at the pub, like, oh yeah, we just finished VidCon, woo, that's so fun, yeah, it's great catching up with all of you, blah, blah, blah. And then some other random himbo comes up, and they're like, hey, looks like you guys are having a good time, what's going on? And it's like, oh, you know, we're old friends catching up. And then he's like, oh, old friends. And then he just becomes part of the conversation when we didn't want that. We just wanted to hang out at a pub alone. So then that's creepy, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, well, you know, we're just wanting to catch up. And then he doesn't get the hint. And then you had to be blunt. And then they call you a bitch because they're not the ones getting the attention anymore because they want to be our friend too.
Yeah, no, I've well, maybe not quite exactly like that, but I have the experience. I remember like when I used to work in this place, we used to work in a supermarket, and so me and my friend, we will like get some, when we go on break, we'll get some food from the shop and then go up to the break room and just, you know, eat our food there while chatting, whatever. So we're doing that one day, and we had like some food, you know, some like carton drinks and, you know, cakes, stuff like that, just that we bought, and we just sat at the table, chatting away, you know, on our break, and then this guy just comes up to the table. And he sits down. He's like, "You all right, fellas?" And I don't know this guy, but you know, he sits down like he knows my friends. So I didn't say anything. I figured, you know, those guys are friends. And he's talking, and you know, he seems like a decent enough fella. But while he's talking, he's like taking some of the food and pouring himself a drink, and then you know that kind of thing. And then maybe about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes later or whatever, you know, he just like, "All right, gotta go now," and then he walks away. And then so at that point, I'm like, "So where'd you know?" I said to my friend, "So where'd you know him from?" And he's like, "I don't know. I thought you knew him."
Oh my
so
god!
So it's literally just some dude that
just
just sat down and just acted like he knew us, and then just to get some free food. It's like, flipping out, man. All right, we got got.
Oh, that sucks.
We got.
I mean, but was it a bad interaction with him?
No, I mean, he seemed like a decent enough fella. He seemed like a decent enough fella, and he did. And to be fair, I don't think he ate all our food, but he definitely took more than what you'd give.
Then he should have.
If, especially when you don't really know the person, you know what I mean. So it was kind of like, okay, I see what you did there.
Oh, well, hopefully you don't run into him again and be like, "Hey, so I remember you, but I didn't catch your name because I don't know you."
Yeah, I want my food back, by the way. I know it's been 20 years, but I want my food back.
If it already went through your digestive system, I need a body part.
Exactly.
Give me my vitamin C.
I want the equivalents.
That's so funny.
All right, then. So yes, let's about an hour into
the topic
into the podcast, but hey. Hopefully y'all good. But hopefully we had an interesting enough chat for you to stick with us this long. What we are just about to start talking about Hazbin Hotel. So yeah, that is the main topic of today. Hazbin Hotel. It's a series on Amazon. No, Yeah, Amazon.
That's right, Amazon
Amazon,
Prime.
Amazon Prime. It's
Mm-hmm.
a side along to a series you can watch on YouTube called Hell of a
Hell of a
Boss.
boss.
Now, I've not seen Hell of a Boss. Celeste has seen Hell of a Boss. So we might get into some spoilers for Hell of a Boss, which will be spoilers for me too. But I don't mind that. Hopefully, you don't mind either, assuming you've not seen it. But if you have, or if you don't care, then cool. But either way, yeah, we're going to get into some spoilers for Hazbin Hotel. That's the show that I've watched, that Celeste is watching, the main one we're going to talk about. Before we get to a whole kind of spoilers and what we really think of it and that kind of thing, just as I guess a quick, brief, non-spoiler review slash opinion type thing, what would you say as kind of a basic description of Hazbin Hotel for somebody who hasn't seen it?
So Hazbin Hotel is I wouldn't say bleak, but a interesting musical with the
Yeah, yeah.
daughter and with the residents of hell trying to not be in hell. And I think the music is actually really well written, and it's not colorful. It's definitely red. Everything is extremely red. So if you were expecting something more colorful than one color tone palette, no, it's hell. So mostly you're going to get lots of reds, lots of cursing. It is not for children, 1000%. If it's a cartoon, that doesn't always mean it's meant for kids, okay? It means this one is 1000% meant for adults. Do not let your kids watch this unless they are mentally ready to watch this. But the music is good. I like the
Yeah,
animation a lot. It's very
yeah.
fluid.
I'd agree with that. Like, I mean, it is a musical. I guess I didn't think of it as a musical when I was watching it because I think there's maybe one, maybe two songs per episode.
I was like, every episode they're singing, so it's a
Yeah,
musical.
and so yeah, it definitely meets the musical requirements. But yeah, it just wasn't something that kind of crossed my mind that yeah, this is actually a musical. Um, but yeah, they do have pretty much one song, maybe I think sometimes two songs per episode.
Right.
And it's without saying too much, I'll say it's an interesting show. Whether that's interesting good or interesting bad, well, I'll save that for later. But it's an interesting show in terms of its overall kind of premise and in terms of I'm watching this as a religious person, um, but then also seeing it, I guess, metaphorically as well.
Right.
Yeah, I'll say it's an interesting show, and I'll get into some details of why I'm saying it in a little while. But yeah, it's not very long. I think it's what 8 episodes and they're about 25-ish minutes each, give or take.
25-ish? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not very long.
Exactly.
The other show, Hell of a Boss, I think that's like 2 seasons long with a total of 17 episodes, I think. But those are
Right.
like 10, 15-ish minutes. That I haven't watched, like I said before, but I want to try and get to that at some point. But for now,
They're also shorts on YouTube, so they're less than like 3 minutes.
oh, okay,
So
that I
they
didn't know.
have some that are just really fast, quick, and easies that are pretty fun.
Okay, it's all by the same creator. Is it
Yes.
Vivian
Vivian
something?
I want to say Monreno. I know there's an O and there's an M. I don't remember the middle. Drag me across
Yeah.
hot coals, why don't you?
Right. I'm before Vivian. Gosh, flip now. What's going on? All right,
I thought
so
I had it.
while I look up her name real quick,
The cast
that's the
is
wrong
quite
one.
colorful. They all have different things. Not everyone is like basically called a demon, even though they're in there. They're all types of demons. It's interesting though, and I think it's really like a new age kind of cartoon as well because it is a medium of cartoon. It is animation,
By the way, Vivian
and I
Medrano is the name. Vivian
Madrona.
Medrano.
There you go.
Yeah.
I know it had an O and an M.
But yeah, sorry, what was you saying?
I was saying the animation is very solid. The characters are very colorful. Everyone's like a demon, quote unquote. But they're interesting because it's not just like I'm a demon, I look like this. Like some of them have extra hands, some are tiny, some are big, and multiple eyes, one eye. Like it's very fun in that essence.
And Keith David is in it, by the way.
Who's Keith David?
Who Keith David plays Husk.
I know he's the president in Rick and Morty.
Yeah. The thing about Keith David, people tell me, and a couple of people said this as well. At least a few people said this. People tell me that I look like I could be his son.
Are you?
And I mean,
Are you hiding something from us?
I guess in the grand scheme of the world, it's not an entirely impossible thing. But as far as I'm aware, I'm not. I mean, to be honest, I don't see the resemblance between me and him. But hey, I mean, you know, I don't mind people telling me I could be his son.
Shave your beard in a different way yet again, and that will resemble you to look more like him.
I might maybe I should try that. You know, because let's see, I've got.
I mean,
a
your hair grows back quickly, right?
It does if I let it grow. And I think my hair is probably, if not even probably, I know it is. If I let my hair grow now, it's going to be grey. Like I think it's probably about as grey as his right now. I'm looking at a recent picture of him, and I think my hair, if I let it grow, probably be about the same grey me as him. So yeah, I might be resembling him if I let my hair grow.
Well, you could try, and then you could always get your hair cut. It takes longer to grow your hair. So, leave a comment, chat, if you want to see Mr. Haze try to grow his hair out to look like Keith Richards, aka the actor who portrays Husk.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Keith David, by the way. Keith Richards is like the singer. What's he? Keith Richards. He's like the singer in Who is Keith Richards? I'm not flipping out.
I'm mixing. Yeah, I'm mixing.
I think he's a singer. I'm pretty sure he's a singer.
Is he?
No, he's a guitarist. My bad. He's a guitarist. But yeah, he's a guitarist for the Rolling Stones. Is that right?
Is he?
Yeah, Rolling Stones. Okay. He's a guitarist from the Rolling Stones. Yeah, I don't think I'd look like Keith Richards if I grew my hair out. I think I'd have to do a lot more than grow my hair out to look like Keith Richards. Actually, yeah, I might look like Slash if I grew up my grey hair out. I might have to do a few other things as well. But yeah, definitely closer to Slash than Keith Richards, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
All right. So yeah, let's.
Do you know anyone else in the cast?
Let me check real quick before we get into the spoiler section. So yeah, Keith David, that's the main one I know. Just looking at the other names now. I don't think I know them from anything. I'm sure they've all done stuff before, but I'm not sure I've seen these names. To my knowledge, none of them are sticking out to me. Let's see here. Stephanie Beatriz. She plays Baggy. I feel like that name does sound familiar, but she was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Okay, that might be where I've seen that.
I did not watch that.
Yeah, neither did I. I mean, I've watched maybe a couple of episodes of it, but not enough to say that I've watched it. But that I'm thinking that could be possibly where I just saw the name pop up. Also, she's in Encanto. Most likely definitely saw her name in Encanto. Who's she playing in Encanto?
Because I watched the show.
Oh, she's Mirabelle. She was Mirabelle Madrigal in Encanto. So yeah, I almost certainly saw that name.
I can't hear that in her at all as Mirabelle.
Yeah. She went from Mirabelle to Vaggy. That's interesting. That's range.
She went from a family-loving daughter to a lesbian.
I mean, Mirabelle might have some tendencies we don't know. So
she's a child. I don't want to explore that conversation. She's young. I don't want to explore that. She's a kid.
She's she's pissed off at her grandma.
The only one that I'd be okay with is probably Isabella and Luisa because they're older.
Isabella. Oh yeah, Luisa, the strong one.
Yeah, because Isabella's at marrying age. They were trying to get her married off to Mariano, and I was like, she's kind of past the age for a Disney princess, though. I could see her why she's like anyways, that's beyond the point. She's got a completely different. It's so interesting, she didn't really sing as much as she did like in Encanto, despite being like a not a main character, but definitely a secondary character.
By the way, there were
And it
two actors, excuse me, that played Vaggie. One was Stephanie Beatriz, excuse me, and the other one is Monica Franco. So I don't know where they switched. Maybe one was a singer, one was doing the voice. I don't
that
know,
makes sense.
but there are two actresses listed as playing Vaggie.
Baggy.
Um,
Got it. Baggy is
uh,
the one with the eyeball missing.
yeah, the X on her eye.
She's got
All right then. Well, I reckon we could get into some spoilers now. So this is your spoiler warning. If you've seen it, cool. If you haven't seen it, you may want to watch it. Or if you just don't care for spoilers, we're about to get into some
this
right
is
now. So, with that
here
said,
we go.
this is so this is a show that previously I've never heard of. It was suggested by Celeste to talk about this, so I'll say, all right, cool. When I watched it, so the first question I have for you, Lady Orchid, is
Geek.
what was it about this show that made you think like that made you feel like, yeah, we got to talk about this?
Oh, easily because it's set in hell. And it's kind of like one of those like, oh, do you believe in it? Do you like think there's an afterlife? Do you believe in purgatory? And then this kind of premise of like, oh, can you be redeemed once you're in hell, or do you just disappear after hell? And that kind of plays into this premise of like, oh, this hotel is going to give a chance for sinners to repent, to exit hell. So it's kind of like, that's an interesting topic. I also like this show. Um, it's a very interesting cast. They have a lot of different topics on it because, like I said, Vaggie is gay, and Charlie, the main character, is actually pansexual, as confirmed by Vivian's Twitter or X account. So there's a lot of differences, and Angel Dust, he just does whatever is told because he's a porn star, a porn actor, like sex actor. No, it's called a porn star, and that's the thing. And it's just a really interesting topic and hot commodity because there's a lot of people who like this show, and there's a lot of people who are creatives who think that the writing is terrible and it's not good. And I'm like, well, let's just hear what other people have to say because I like it, and apparently if I like it, there probably is other people that like it. Obviously, I'm not the consensus of like good writing and storytelling, but I've had people online tell me like Luca isn't a good movie despite being a coming of age and it's too shallow. I'm like, it's a kids movie. Like what? Like a lot of other people jumped on that internet thread and was all like, I liked it too. Maybe you're just the problem because you're expecting too much from a kids movie. But this is an adult show, and they were saying like the themes weren't, or like the writing wasn't well written, or the flow was wrong. And I agree. A little bit of the flow was weird, but I am not like a story writer, so I thought this would be a good topic because it's a newer show. Yes, it's like made last year, but it is catching like lots of fire now. Also, it's Halloween
Yeah,
time-ish
well, catch lots of
when
fire,
we're
literally.
recording. Woo!
um, yeah, indeed. So yeah, so when before, yeah, before you suggest this show, I never even heard of it, so I literally knew nothing about this show. I watched it, I guess, as blind as possible, going in, um, and the first thing you see is this whole kind of, I guess, backstory, if you will, about the beginning of the worth, and um, God created Adam and Lilith. And immediately it's kind of like, oh, okay, they're going along that route, you know.
Yes.
So in the show, it's yeah, God created Adam and Lilith. Lilith then goes off with Lilith. I think they said Lilith was like couldn't be Adam was trying to be controlling, but Lilith was like rebelled against that, and then they went away. Lilith then meets Lucifer. They fall in love. At that point, God creates Eve. So Adam goes with Eve, and that's the people come from there. But then Lilith marries Lucifer, and they have Charlie Morningstar as their daughter. And yeah, so it goes along what, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not going to claim to be any kind of expert on this, but from what I understand to be Satanist mythology, of Lilith being the first a woman on Earth rather than Eve. Um,
Right.
yeah, it's kind of like, okay, like, so I'm watching this religious person watch this, and immediately it's like, what did I agree to? Like, maybe I should have watched this first before I said I'll talk about it. I'm kind of thinking like that, right? But yeah, I watched it. I watched it the whole way through. And I guess my main thoughts on it is that if you look at it surface level, surface level, it's like, okay, it's like blasphemous in the sense that it talks about um hell being this place where or rather heaven being this place where the angels are quite arrogant, and that kind of thing, and very kind of what's the word, merciless, and then it looks at the citizens of hell, and then kind of paints them as like, this guys that just maybe fallen bad times and maybe made some mistakes, and that very much goes against what people believe in faith. But then you kind of look beneath that, and I say, okay, well, wait a minute. That's if I'm looking at it surface level. But most shows, most movies, most any kind of creative thing isn't just about what you see on the surface. There's a depth to it. There's a reason for it to be made. Now, I don't know what that reason is, because of course I don't know Vivian Medrano. But what I got from it, at least what I saw when I kind of looked beneath the surface a little bit, is something where it's like, okay, well, what if we look at hell and see that as a metaphor for Earth? Because I think there are a lot of people on Earth who have, fallen into, bad times, or maybe made mistakes, or went down the wrong path, and this happened, that happens, and they kind of feel like they're stuck where they are.
Hmm.
Kind of feel like there is no way for them, and they just got to keep doing what they're doing, and for them, I definitely do believe that you can still turn life around, and there is still hope, and there is still things you could do, and maybe it's not easy, and maybe it's not obvious, but I do believe that people can always, no matter what your situation is, make your life better in some way. And perhaps it's like looking at that and saying, look, no matter what hell, metaphorical hell that you think you're in, that you feel that you're in, there is still hope. And it may not seem like it. It may feel like the world is against you. Like in the show, it's like, you got the angels of heaven constantly against the demons of hell. So it might feel like, there's no way out. It might feel like no matter what you do, there's it's just nothing. Everything's just going to come crashing down. But then, as we see at the end, one of the most unlikely demons did make it to heaven, right? So even though like it might feel that way, there is still hope. There is still a chance. It may come in a way that you're not expecting. It may come in a way that you didn't even know to look for. But there is still hope for people in these situations. So I feel like when you look at it on a metaphorical level, it does have a positive message, that I'm on board with. But yeah, that was kind of my thoughts on the show,
Yeah, I
my
just
main
think,
thoughts on the show.
yeah, so if you had a chance, if and anyone listening, the sister along series or sibling series called Hell of a Boss, that one
Hmm.
actually showcases lots of interactions with demons on Earth. So
Okay.
one of the episodes is called like Spring Break, and one of my favorite actors, Christina V, she voices one of my favorite characters, and she's a succubus, and she's like, we have to go to the upstairs to do something XYZ, and she runs into her ex, which is one of the main characters in Hell of a Boss, and it just shows how hell kind of invades like Earth and then goes back down. So like there's instances where hell is hell, and then there's earth, and then there are times when heaven intervenes and causes like miracles. So
Hmm.
it is interesting in those aspects when you can see like, oh, this is that. And even in Hazbin Hotel, they even have Charlie like so excited to be able to go to heaven. She's like, I can't believe it, we're going to heaven, and it's
Yeah.
like, yay. But it's
So
it's just different.
So with the sister show, Hell of a Boss, uh, I mean, how much does that how much does that link to Hazbin Hotel in terms of like the story or you know
Zero.
characters or oh okay okay so it's just
Like it's
nothing
just
okay
yeah, the only thing that they have in common, other than the art style, is the fact that they're both based in hell in the same universe. So think of it as like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like
okay
Iron
yeah
Man's
yeah
happening the same time that Hulk is happening, and then later together they form the Avengers. We don't know if we're going to get the Avengers version of Hazbin Hotel, but they're still simultaneously happening while the other is happening.
are there any characters at all from like even minor characters from Hazbin from either show that's been in both shows?
No,
Okay, so it's just completely
no. So
separate. Just part. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so I
right.
guess
So, I mean,
yeah.
it's just good to know both so you understand, like, oh, yeah, which character are you, or who this is, or where are they located. Because when they do the executions, they don't do it in all parts of hell. They do it in the Pride Ring, from what I'm understanding. And with it, they have 7 layers. So you have like the greed layer, you have the pride layer, lust layer, envy layer, gluttony layer, and all of them have like their domain leaders, but Lucifer, Charlie's dad, is the leader of Pride who rules over all of them, but mainly the Pride ring.
Okay. Do they explain why the Pride Ring specifically and not the
Um,
others?
I don't remember exactly, but I know for a fact that it's just different because in Hell of a Boss, the leader of the gluttony, her name is Beelzebub, and she's so cool. She's known as Queen Bee, and she sings the song with writing from Kesha, and the singer sounds like Kesha, but it's not Kesha. She's accredited as a writer. Um, yeah, like each layer just has a different boss, and I think that's just how Vivian made it that way, or the storytelling is made that way.
Okay. That's I mean I know the Nine Rings goes back to Dante's Inferno.
7.
Is it 7 rings? Or nine?
Yeah,
Okay.
7 deadly sins, 7 rings.
Okay. Wait a minute. Hold on a sec. Yes, because there's 7 deadly sins. That's that. Let me see. I'm sure it was like 9 rings of hell. I'm I thinking this. Okay. But okay. Well, actually, in that case, if hold on a sec. One sec. 9 rings. 9 circles. Okay, so yeah, 9 circles of hell was done his Inferno, but um,
Oh,
seven deadly
Dante's Inferno was
sins.
9?
Yeah, I mean, sins is that's okay. So okay, in this show, it's just 7 rings of hell.
Yes.
Okay, so they're not necessarily based on Dante's Inferno. Then okay, cool.
No.
All right, gotcha, 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 gotcha.
Okay. Well, now
Although,
I've learned something. Dante's
yeah,
Inferno was 13. I thought it was 7 this whole time.
yeah, but it
Not a
looks
big
like
deal.
I mean, they've got similar sins, like similar names like lust, gluttony, greed, wrath, heresy, violence, frauds, treachery. But I guess just cut out a couple of them for the for the show. But yeah, it's fine, it's fine. But yeah, 7 deadly sins. Yeah, that's like greed, gluttony, pride. I can't remember all the rest of them right now.
Wrath, sloth, envy.
Sloth. Yeah,
Lust.
and but only pride gets killed in a only pride rings only the pride people get killed in this show. Everyone else
That's what it seems
yeah, not so much.
by the
So
angels.
with that then, and you know what you know of the both shows, how would you say describe its overall kind of say message and theme and that kind of thing?
I don't, let's see, like message wise, okay, so the message that I'm starting to get, that they're starting to convey, since they're kind of done with world building in Hell of a Boss, that one is like, no matter how strong you are, you're still weak in some other areas. And like, there's always like a small path to redemption, and you should try taking it because that's what's kind of happening in season 2 of Hell of a Boss. Now, with Has Been, I would definitely say like redemption and doing the right thing is difficult to see and learn how to do it because you may think you're doing the right thing, but that might not lead you to redemption, but you could still prove that you're being a good person along the way.
Mm,
So, example being Angel Dust, right? He gets really butthurt when we
mm,
don't know if
literally.
Apprentice, when he first gets introduced, if he's actually being genuine. And he's like doing the role playing. He's like, and I'm off to have conversations and not have pre sex before marriage. And then Charlie is like so happy. Angel Dust actually gets really upset by this. And it kind of shows in his character that he's like, I want redemption, but is he trying to do redemption for himself or is it to get away from his addiction? And he can't get away from his addiction, aka the poison from the dude. I totally forget his name. The not Vox, not
Oh,
Valentina.
the one that owns his soul.
Valentino. Yeah,
Yeah.
Valentino. That's his whole essence because he wants, and now he's like shoot for him and it's kind of like, is he really trying to redeem himself to get away, or is it just because of that? And he even has his episode, right? That episode was pretty hard, but he's just like, I don't want to be like this. I want to be something else, but this is what I sold my soul for. I can't help it. So I really think the message that I understand is you can be broken, you can have these problems, and you can have people trying to help you fix your problems, but at the end of the day, you have to do something genuine
Mm,
um, for yourself if you feel like you're a bad person and trying to go into the right path. Because Husk is there because of contractual obligation to Alistair. It's not like he wants to be, but he's there. He's not really forced to do anything. Angel just is there because he doesn't want to be stuck with Valentino and his abuse, but he's not fully in it. And at the end, we see Serpentis actually redeemed because he did something genuine for Cherry Bomb, and that was out of love. So that's what I think. I don't know
yes.
if you feel that from Has Been.
Yeah, and I think I see it as well. Like in terms of like ultimately you acting out of love and selflessness. Um, and which is what was it just his name
Pentis.
Pentis
Pentis.
Pentis
Yeah, there's no I.
Pentis,
Just
my
Sir
bad.
Pentis.
Sir Pentis.
Yeah.
What he did, and you know, he tried to save the day, so to speak, and it just didn't work that way. Just he kind of got taken out real easily, but ultimately it was out of a love and a desire to protect somebody, um, like the ultimate sacrifice, if you will. In fact, there are verses uh, going back to like religious texts, like in the Quran, for example, where it says that um, he who a person who kills somebody is as if he killed the whole nation or the whole community. So I forget, I might be blanking on the exact translation. But then it also says like a person who saves somebody would be as if he saved the whole nation. And so in perhaps with now I'm not suggesting Vivian took inspiration. I don't know where she got her things from, but I'm just talking about it from that point of view. That in that instance where Sir Pentis made that sacrifice, and then as you see, he does go to heaven. So it's like that sacrifice for saving one person was like saving the whole people as well. So it's like multiplication of the reward, if that makes sense.
Right. But here comes another part. too with that. So Camilla Carmine, she killed an angel to save her children, and apparently you can have children in hell. You could get pregnant and give birth in hell, as you know, Charlie was born from Lilith and Lucifer. So it's
Mm,
interesting in that aspect, right?
yeah.
So Camilla Carmine kills an angel to save her kids, but why doesn't that constitute her? Like, you have to die literally first to be able to go into heaven. Don't you think that's a little broken? Like, trying to
Um,
protect the people you love, even if they're like already like born sinners, that's kind of not fair.
I mean,
Like,
that's kind of how it is to get to heaven, or at least what we believe, right? Like
what
you get
like
to heaven when you
portrayed.
die. So it could be. I mean, I guess we don't know yet, but it could be that perhaps when or if Camilla Carmine gets killed, that she goes to heaven for that. Assuming no, she doesn't, do anything else that takes away that sacrifice in between that point and her death. So I guess with Camilla Carmine, it's more that because she isn't dead, well, isn't dead again, we don't know whether that would have got her into heaven or not.
Yeah, exactly. And it always begs to differ, like question, not beg to differ, but like when Adam didn't know how to get into heaven, it's like,
Mm,
okay, so why is he in heaven? Is it just because he is the first man? He's
mm.
not a good example of it either. So it's
You
like,
know,
I don't like him.
Yeah, I mean that's to me actually kind of is part of why I do feel and bear in mind I've not seen Hell of a Boss, so perhaps some of these are explained in those episodes. But that to me was kind of like what kind of brought it down a little bit, in sense that they're trying to get these demons into heaven, that redeem them and get them into heaven, but they don't really have a good depiction of heaven when it comes down to it. Like the people there, the angels there are kind of arrogant and
Like, oh,
self-centered,
we're so
and
much better.
and
Oh yeah.
yeah, like all that kind of thing. So it's kind of like, well, why are you trying to get people into that place if you're not painting it out to be a good place? So yeah, if it did feel a bit like what we doing here. Is heaven a good place, or is it not? Is it not a good place? Like, what's what because if we go by say what people believe on earth, we believe, of course, heaven to be amazing and beyond, better than anything you could possibly imagine, and then we hell to be worse than anything you could possibly imagine. So from a human perspective, it's like, of course, I could understand why somebody will not want to be in hell and want to go to heaven. But as far as the show goes, and their depiction of heaven and their depiction of hell in the show, it's kind of like they've made hell out to be the more kind of forgiving, um, more kind of accepting, just kind of a bit more chill. I mean, of course, they got their problems and people, but owning souls and abuse and stuff like that. So it's not all good. I get it, but fundamentally, they kind of make hell out to be a pretty kind of cool-ish place, and their depiction of heaven is like just a bunch of arrogant, snobby, self-centered, what's the word? Entitled, type things, like, yeah, and it's the whole fact that none of them knows how to get into heaven. It's like, oh, you just happen to be lucky. Is that, you know what I mean? You just happen to be the first person. You just got lucky, and that's it.
Right.
And, that's it. That's their depiction. So is a part of me was kind of like, why does anybody want to go there as far as the show goes if you're not going to depict heaven out to be a cool place? If you're going to depict it out to be this kind of egotistical place, why does anybody want to go there? So yeah, that to me was like, I'm not sure that's making sense here.
Yeah, and the other weird part about it too is kind of like, well, wait a second. Like, are we going to depict God? Like, who cast Lucifer out exactly? Was it the head seraphim, or was it a collection? Was it the council? We don't understand how Lucifer got kicked out. We just know that he was shunned for his ideas. And it's like he still has angel mode too. He's actually a pretty funny character. I'm going to fuck. And but
I
anyways, like
mean,
he
up.
has
You
his
mean
wings,
up?
and it's like
Yeah.
interesting, you know? Like he's still considered an angel, but like to what point, right?
Yeah. yeah, they don't. I don't think they even mention God in the show. Actually, if I remember correctly, like there's no depiction of God as one of the characters, and there's no to my memory. I don't think they even mention God or anything in terms of it relating to God. Like they I know they say things like the elder angels and stuff like that, but I don't think they ever mention God. Or am I wrong on that? Or is it?
No, they don't. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if
Yeah,
they were going to do a season two, would they bring him
yeah,
in? Because, like, at the end, they're like, okay, like, Adam is dead. Now it's your turn, and now fix your daughter. Like, your daughter's stirring the pot, right?
yeah.
So it's just like, what about that? Like, is that a bad thing? Like, what's going on? Like, who created them? They can't just come out of nowhere, right? Or did they? Because then the angels came out of nowhere. So, like, it has a lot of like open-ended parts of like, okay, it might be hard to fit that in an 8 episode season, but maybe they're trying to have things open. I don't know.
Yeah, it ends with I guess a revelation that Lilith was in heaven the whole time, and I guess at some point made a deal with somebody to get there. But now that deal is maybe in jeopardy because yeah, her daughter's kind of like messing things up a little bit. It's like, look, get your little picnic in check.
Yeah,
Get your little picnic under control. Otherwise, this whole deal we're gonna tear it up. You know, so we have to wait and see what happens with that. Um, but yeah, the whole thing about not mentioning God, though, I do kind of feel like I think I get why. Um, and I know lots of shows or lots of movies have had depictions of God before, so they certainly wouldn't be the first to do it. But I understand why they did in this show, and it's partly, to my mind, because like I mean, us keep it real. A lot of people tend to get offended by things, right? And
mhm.
the religious crowd. I mean, again, let's keep it real. Not exactly a stranger to that. So I think part of it, to my mind, anyway, I'd guessing is that you just probably thought, you know what, let's not rock the boat too much right now. Yes, let's leave that out, and just to say head angels or elder angels and that kind of thing.
Right. Maybe.
Yeah,
Because
maybe.
they're like, oh, they're like the seraphim, which are the higher angels, because they're considering Adam an angel. Spoiler alert, Raggy is an angel, but you have a level of angel higher than angel, which is the seraphim. So it's like, oh, aren't they special?
Did I mention seraphims in the show? Maybe I forgot that. My bad.
What? How did you? They're the okay. So the seraphims are the ones that come down and greet Charlie in episode 7, and they transform. So they look really wild, and then they transform into like the other ones. One of them is like telling Adam to like make sure not to talk about the executions or extermination day because not all of heaven knows about that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
So
right, yeah,
that's a
yeah,
big
yeah,
thing.
yeah. I'm just looking at the pictures now, and yeah, 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 yeah. I remember these guys. I remember these guys. Okay, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they.
So
Yeah, I think they were the ones that moved up the extermin. No, no, Adam was the one that moves up the extermination date because they're supposed to
right,
every
because
year and he
he's the
moves it
one
up.
that's doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They made Adam to be a real jerk in this show, like just a real arrogant, egotistical prick in this show. What's your thoughts on Adam in Hazbin Hotel?
Um, my thoughts on Adam.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just think that they hit the nail on the head when they said like he's the first dick, and they just went so literal with that. Like they're like, okay, when you think of a dick, what kind of comes to mind of like a guy that just really wants to just bang chicks and do cool things and like action alpha sigma man. And I think that they really went like full force on that. And I was like, oh God. They really went like balls to the wall deep on that. And he's like, I populated Earth with these brawls. Like I'm like, oh my god, yeah, I could see him being like pure dick. And I think that's the way that they made that character to be that way, anyways. Well, so that's my interpretation of Adam. I didn't expect him to be like this, but I didn't expect him to be like soft and like calm either.
Mm.
Because there's other shows that have predicted like depicted him more as like a kind, caring figure, like Record of Ragnarok. That one, they have Adam as like, oh, I'm a dad. I have to take care of my kids, all of my kids. I'll fight to the end for my children. But this one is such a fun, interesting take because it's something different. I'm like, I wouldn't have expected, and I think that's just a twist that a lot of people wouldn't have expected either. To have the first dick to be an actual dick.
Yeah, that's yeah. I get yeah. I guess I don't spot that connection, but yeah, though yes. Um Literally they did that.
He says
Um
it in the show. Well, not like that, but he's
I
like,
know
my balls populated the earth.
oh
I
no, yeah, no, I
created
remember that. I remember
mankind.
that. I remember that. But I'm just saying like the first dick to be a dick, like yeah. But no,
Oh
they
no, he
did
didn't
that.
say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, they did that. Um they just made him out to be like this real kind of like not likable person. Um and again, it's kind of like one of these things where it's like, okay, so what are we doing here? Because you're trying to get people into this place, and then it's just these types of guys. Um, so it's like he gets killed in the end by ultimately he gets killed by Nifty. Um,
He gets beaten to almost death
gets beaten
by
by Lucifer.
Lucifer.
Yeah, and then
Right.
Nifty just stabs him in the back. Um, but best, I guess, in this show, I mean, not even guess, they clearly make it in the show that the angels can die and the demons can die, and we know that potentially when the demons die, they might Pentus, I keep forgetting his name,
Serpentis.
Serpentus, they might go to heaven. Like it's possible now. We understand it's possible that demons can go to heaven, but I guess the question is, like, where do angels go when they die? Or where do demons go when they die that don't go to heaven? Like
Exactly,
I don't think
right?
they really establish like if there is death in the afterworld, then what happens to that soul? Does it just disappear?
Mm-hmm.
Or does something happen? Because we believe like when we die that we go to heaven if we've been good, we go to hell if we've been bad, right? I know that's
Exactly.
a very oversimplification of it, but fundamentally that's what humans believe. You go to heaven if you're good, you go to hell if you're bad. But if you're in hell and you can be killed, or at least according to this show, you can be killed, then what happens then? Do you go back to hell in a different ring? Maybe.
Or do you get
Do you,
reincarnated back on Earth? You know what I
do,
mean?
or
Like,
that?
is that
Yeah,
possible?
is reincarnation a thing in this world? Actually, did they mention reincarnation in Hell of a Boss? Has that come up at all? Any other
Not
kind of
yet. They haven't
afterlife
mentioned
type
something
things?
like that. They mainly go from Earth to Hell. So, like, we've seen people die and then they appear as their demon form in Hell. But we
I
haven't
see.
seen, like, a lot of death for characters in Hell yet. Like, there are people who get injured, but they're not dead.
But in hell, yeah, yeah, yeah,
In Hell of a Boss. Yeah, sorry. I
yeah.
didn't
No.
clarify. I was like, eh.
All right, so let's talk.
So,
Oh, sorry, what was that?
so
Was
do
that?
you have a
Oh,
favorite character?
do I have a favorite character? Oof. I'm not sure I have a favorite character. I think if I had to pick a favorite, though, I'd probably go with Charlie, and mainly,
Really?
yeah, and because I like her character in that she's trying to help people.
Hmm.
And she has a bit of a naivety to it. But I think sometimes when you have a naivety have a naivety, you might be willing to try something that may be more, stick in the mud, whatever people aren't, because you don't always see the big picture when you're naive. You just see enough to want to try something, and that's her, and I think she kind of represents a little bit of that innocence that sometimes people have, or that naivety that sometimes people have, where you think you could do something, even though everyone else is looking at you like you can't do that. It can't be done. You know what I mean? It can't be done. This is why you
Oh,
even bothering.
absolutely.
So I feel like she kind of represents that kind of side of people. Perhaps when you're a child, I guess when you believe so many things as a child of maybe what you can do, what you can be, where you can go, and how the world works and how other people work, and you have so many kind of like naive beliefs. But then the older you get, the more kind of grumpy you get, because life kind of beats you down, and you get to a point where you're just like, oh man, that it can't be. Why am I bothering? Why am I bothering? So I feel like she kind of represents that side of people, that kind of innocent, naive side of person, but the naive, innocent side of people that just wants to do something really good, and against all odds, against everybody that's saying it can't be done, against the fact that maybe even it can't be done, because at that point we don't really even know yet, right?
Right.
It's just that belief in trying to do something good. So yeah, I would say like Charlie is probably my favorite character.
Oh, okay.
How
That's
about yourself? Do
interesting.
you have a favorite?
I like quite a bit of characters, but I think my character is two side of a character, but I love Rosie. I think Rosie's hilarious. I also find Pentis really hilarious, but Rosie I really relate to because she's semi-motherly, she's orderly, she helps people. Um, she's friends with Alistair. I see my brother as Alistair, so us getting along like that, I find myself relating to Rosie, just being this, oh, why, hello, can I help you? Oh, so inviting, come in, tell me your worries, like that kind of person. And then being like, yeah, I'm ready to eat someone. I'll eat someone. Yeah, I'll fix them right up. I'll fuck them up. Yeah, I'll do it. Let's go. And it's like, yeah, that's the Karen. But also, she's really pretty. She's also a demon overlord, so it's one of the more higher ranking demons that has some weight and power behind her. So I'm like, yep, I like that too. Because when I see Charlie, Charlie is not strong in her own land. Like she's got a lot of
Hmm.
people that would actually silence her. And I'm kind of drawn to power characters. Why? Because I like power. I like telling people what to do. I like to micromanage, and it seems like she likes to micromanage. So, that's me. I like her. I like Nifty for her chaotic energy. It's like, oh, look at these bugs. I'm going to kill them, and then I'm going to show that I'm going to kill them in front of their children. Ha ha ha. I'm like, oh, how delightful. That's wonderful. Yay. Keep the please. And then I like Serpentis because he's just awkwardly funny. He's just comically written and interesting. And all these characters are just different varieties of like different flavors of human. So you have like this overly grandmother figure that also wouldn't hurt. So like there's a grandmother figure who won't who won't mind busting a cap if she doesn't, if her people aren't taken care of. And then Serpentis, he's an inventor and he's goofy, but he's not strong. And then there's Nifty, who is technically strong, but she's a little person who is like compulsive OCD. It's like, and like, what, sadistic? Is that it? Is
Sadistic?
she sadistic? Yeah.
I mean, she's in hell, so yeah, she must have done something
Mm.
wrong.
Yeah. I was like, is it sadistic or masochism? I can't, I always forget the definition of the
Oh, I
two.
say okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they're pretty kind of linked. I mean, I think one's more to do with physical pain, or something like that. But I may be wrong on that. I may be wrong on that. But yeah,
I forget. But she likes to torture others.
yeah, and stab people in the back apparently as well. Pretty nifty with that
She's
blade.
done that quite a bit. So yeah,
Stab, 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 stab,
those
stab.
are stab, stab, stab.
Yeah.
Nifty, you stab anything that's an angel. Stab it, stab, stab, yeah. I really want to cosplay as her. She's so funny. So it is on my to-do list to cosplay as Charlie, Rosie, and Nifty. They're all pretty. The way I can understand is to break them down outfit-wise is pretty simple. But yeah. So top tier character, definitely Rosie. Secondary character, definitely Nifty. And then third character is Serpentis, or like a tie between Pentis and Nifty.
What did you think of Vaggy's character throughout the series?
Um, she's like this really militant, loving character. Um, I liked her, and I liked the fact that she was much deeper than what led on. Originally, I was like, oh, okay, like she's there just to be a supportive girlfriend. Okay, like I tossed that aside until like it was revealed that she's an angel and she was part of the executions, but she decided to save the demons, and that caused her to fall. Like they didn't bring her back to heaven, but technically, couldn't she have gone back to heaven? Like I found her very complex towards the end of the series, but it wasn't like a slow growth. It was like a bam in your face growth. So it was like, are you just, this is like, I wouldn't have seen that coming because I'm like, yeah, she
Hmm.
doesn't look like the other citizens of Hell, but neither does Husk. And like Husk is like this cat bird all thing. And then Vaggie, she's just got like her nose and her eye, and one eye's missing. I'm like, okay. But, I was thinking, okay, well, all these characters are like uniquely different, but we've never really addressed like the angels wearing masks. So all the angels wore masks except the High Seraphim because Adam wore a mask. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense because Vaggie took off her mask and now she's suddenly considered a demon, or is she still considered an angel because she's in hell? And it's just like now that Charlie found her, like, did she just start exploring her sexuality? There's a lot of left unknowns for Vaggie that causes her to be like deep in my mind, but she's not a character that I necessarily love or enjoy seeing her. But I think it's good for her to be there to help Charlie.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, I think in the first maybe few episodes or so, like before they reveal that she used to be an angel, um, it did kind of feel like she's just there in the background, and I would assume that's somewhat deliberate because her character is somewhat reserved. She's not the loud and in fact it kind of almost feels like, why are these two even together? They don't seem to have anything. I mean, I know we said before about it's good to have in relationships people have their own thing, but these guys kind of feel like they're just so far apart. But all right, whatever. But yeah,
no, no, I mean, like, it's like my husband and I, we're definitely opposites because I'm very loud and I talk over him all the time. I speak for him, so he's like the quiet guy.
I
But
mean,
he
there's
can
there's
talk too. Like
there's
it
opposites, but then I
mhm.
feel like they're more like not even. But you know what? Now that I'm saying it, I feel like maybe, yeah, I'm sure this is deliberate because of course they're going to be. Because I was about to say that they feel like they're just completely different worlds, and of course they are. That was the point. So now that I'm saying that, I'm kind of thinking, wait a minute, they are literally from completely different worlds. So of course, they're gonna it's gonna seem that way. I think I just answered my own question, to be honest. I think I just answered my own question. They
Yeah.
are literally from completely different things. Like she was an angel, Charlie was, son of, sorry,
But
daughter of the devil, So they are literally from, you know, different. So yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
but that's another part too. Like she didn't necessarily lie to Charlie either about being an angel, and she looks like she just got injured by the angels, but Charlie never once even thought about it. So there's that naivety in play
Mm,
again, you know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like you didn't want to come up front and be honest to her from the get-go. Like, they were together for 3 years. They're still together, But it's just kind of strange, like that never once came up. Like you never once needed to tell her like about salvation, or like she doesn't even know the truth about salvation either.
mm.
So it's kind
Yeah, I
of
think
I,
it
I
seemed like
think
quite a few of them didn't really, because even when at the end when Pentascoop. Bloody hell, man! I'm gonna get his name right eventually.
You'll
Even
get
by the end,
there. Just
yeah.
another
When
2 hours.
yeah, exactly. Just a couple of hours, we'll get there. Um, but yeah, even when he showed up in heaven, like they seemed surprised that that could happen. So it seems like nobody really, literally, no one knows what's going on in terms of how you get into heaven. Can demons be redeemed? You know, it seems like a lot of the characters that, at least all the characters that they've shown so far, don't know the full story of what's can happen and what's possible.
Exactly. And that's why I think it would be interesting if they brought in like a God aspect of like, oh yeah, I created the angels carry out my whim, but I haven't been talking to them. I've been doing something else, you know. Like it'd be interesting if they had that kind of thing because it's like, how do we have these two realms? How do we have Earth? Like I thought Charlie said God created in the beginning, like in the very first episode. I don't remember now. So it's just like it's interesting that they haven't shown that. Maybe that's for a later season. But again, it's just kind of like if they don't know how, then how do they know that they're doing better than what hell is? Like what if it's just like a sunnier version of hell? You know what I'm saying? Like it's Detroit versus Los Angeles or Mexico.
So just something you said a moment ago, actually, about Vaggie and not talking about the fact she's be demon. That kind of brings up an interesting question for me, I think, especially as we were talking about relationships earlier. Um,
Hmm.
is it a lie, or I guess, or is it? It's not really a lie in terms of like she didn't say anything, but people do use the phrase "lie of omission." So, in your opinion, is some because do you think that's important enough to bring up in the beginning of a relationship, or do you feel like because when you meet somebody, I mean, I think when you meet somebody, there are certain things you should tell them about yourself that could potentially be deal breakers, right? I think we all kind of understand that if there's something about you that could very likely be a deal breaker, you should probably bring it up right away just so you don't waste anybody's time. But it's something like that in that category of potential deal breaker, or do you feel like it's not an issue in terms of that she should have brought it up earlier on, or do you feel like no, it's fine to leave stuff like that to the side and then it comes up if it comes up?
Um, so it's not lying with omission because she never asked her. She never told her. So if the topic never came up, it was never omitted to begin with. So in my head, it's kind of Vaggie's fault. But then when Charlie is talking about it to Rosie, it's like this whole like, I don't know who she is. It's like, no, but you never asked, did you? You just naturally assumed. So it's just like that's one of those topics that you have to kind of have a sit down chat of like, okay, so where are we going? Like, do you
Mm,
have ambitions? Like, um, it is important, I would say, if that could cause a problem, because like, imagine you have this like deep, hypothetically, this is not me, and this is a fictional thing I'm saying. Imagine that you were part of a racist community that shunned like Asian people and was like, all Asians are heretics and they need to be purged off the face of the planet. Like, you know, we're superior. We're like the right way. And then you separate yourself from the group and then you find someone and you're like, oh yeah, by the way, like that person is Asian. And it's just like, would you tell them that you grew up in that? It's like
mm,
you could mention it because if they ever wanted to meet your family, they need to know like that. But would I bring it up within the first few dates? Probably not, because if you really want to build something, you want them to be stable. I would say like a 2 months to 3 month, like you
yeah.
should tell them, but not 3 years later, you know.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think I agree with that in the sense that I feel like when you meet somebody, there are definitely some things you absolutely should bring up in the first date. Like there are some things that are just that important you need to bring up in the first date. Other things are maybe like you should maybe say them near the beginning, but it don't need to be the first thing you say. You know, like
Oh,
for
easily.
example,
Right.
like I feel like, and that's one of these ones in this case where it's like I mean, of course, it depends on the circumstance of how they met as well, which we don't see. But assuming they
No,
met
we
on the,
did. We
did
saw them
we?
how they met.
Did
Yes.
we?
Baggy gets found by Charlie after she gets her wings sliced off and her eyeball taken. Charlie picks her up off the street thinking that she's a demon that needs help during the
Oh yes, yes,
extermination.
yes, 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 yes. Yeah, no, I remember now. My bad, my bad. All right, yeah. In
That's
that case,
okay.
like,
That's why I'm here.
yeah, indeed, indeed. So yeah, in that case, I feel like that's not necessarily the first thing you bring up because you're just meeting them and you don't even know at that point whether this is a serious relationship or this is something you want to be with. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
but maybe once it is at a point where you're looking at this person like, yes, I do want to be with this person, and this is something about my past that is actually quite a big deal. Yeah, at that point you should say something. At that point you
Right.
should be
Like
like, yeah,
it's
look,
part of my past. It's not who I am now.
yeah,
Like moving forward, I am a better person, but I just want you to know this is was who I was, and I don't plan on returning to that. And I think that's important because it shows character growth. It is your baggage from your past. Like
mm,
it won't erase, like you can't erase that. And it made you who you are today. And if someone fell in love with you for who you are today, that means that they have to accept all of it. And if they can't accept your past, whether it was bad and it made you learn to love better or, move forward in a more positive manner, then that person's not for you. And then,
yeah,
you can judge on who that person is if they're a good person. Because, like, Charlie, um, no, not Charlie, Vaggie was like, I didn't tell her because like, it just was never brought up. I think she was so scared that she just didn't want to tell her because her past was hurting her people and that's what she wants to save. So it's just like, she's there at the hotel trying to make amends for the things that she's done
mm. But
of the
then
slaughter.
Charlie's whole thing was about redeeming and forgiveness and things like that. So I do feel like Vaggie should have been seeing that and be like, well, if she's all about forgiveness, then second chances and that whole thing, then hey, I've got something to tell you. you know,
Well, no,
it,
no,
it
no. So like, yeah, totally agree. But it's like, when would she have done it? Would she have done it right when she started thinking about the hotel or launching the hotel? Or would it be after she had figured out how to save as many people as she had killed? You know what I mean?
well,
Like,
I would
like when
assume
would have been a good time to tell her?
before the hotel, but then of course, and that I'm making some assumptions as well. Like maybe Charlie didn't get on this whole forgiveness thing until just when the show started, and maybe before that, Charlie was kind of like, man, screw these guys. I don't care about no them. I don't care about none of these shit. I just want me and my girl, and that's all I care about. I don't want nothing. And then she's like, oh, forgiveness, and that's when the show starts. So, we don't really um, but I mean, yeah, I would have said as a general assumption, probably should have said something before the hotel. Certainly at a point when in a relationship where it's like, okay, we're getting a bit serious now, you know.
Yeah, 3 years is pretty serious. Like, you don't date for 3 years just to call it off. Like, if there's no one better and you're just waiting for someone better, you're not doing any favors by staying in a relationship. Like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah,
for real.
like, come on,
But
come on.
that's not like, uh, just saying, we're not experts on advice, but take it lightly and heed our warnings. You should probably tell the truth and not try to omit anything, because
Mm,
that's just going to lead to later heartbreak. It's kind of like a band-aid. Rip it off fast and quick and be honest. Like, so
yeah,
just be honest and quick, and then you'll be in a good space.
yeah, no, for real, for real. And certain things, like I said, are just too big to just keep because, like, if you're with somebody and if there's something about your past and you're with somebody that does not like that type of thing, whatever's in your past, and absolutely hates it, and you're with them because they don't know that you're actually a part of that thing or was a part of the thing that you hate it, that they hate, and you're still with them and then they don't know. Yeah, you're effectively at that point like building a relationship on a lie because they think you're
Exactly.
somebody that you're not, and they like the person that you're not, and now you have to pretend to be this thing that you're not for the duration of it, and that's just exhausting. That's not fair on you. It's not fair on them. So like
Yeah.
whatever it is, like if it's that big, yeah, you just gotta say it. And they may break up with you. They may be like, you know what, that's too much for me. I'm calling it off. But at least it's done, and you're gonna be hurt, of course. But the sooner you get that over with, the better, because then you've wasted as little time as possible, and then you can deal with your feelings, and then you can move on, rather than spending like 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, some people go like 10 years and keep these secrets, and it's like, what are you doing? You're literally building a whole relationship on a lie at that point, and it's just not fair on you or them. So I just, yeah, like you say, rip it
Yeah,
off.
I just think it's so bad because it's like, why are you lying to yourself? Okay, example. Imagine you get with a girl, or imagine you get with a spouse that hates video games, but video games is your passion. Like you make video games on the side, you watch video game content creators, you like do all these things, and they're like, it's either me or you sell your video games. And it's just like, okay, I'll sell my video games because you're worth it. It's like, no, oh my gosh, you shouldn't have to compromise your passion
Mm,
for someone to love you.
indeed.
Like, that's so sad, right? Like, imagine.
Yeah, speaking of that, actually, I had this kind of realization some years back, actually, that when it comes to being with somebody, the person that is worth giving up your dreams for would never ask you to give up your dreams. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like,
easily. Yeah,
I really feel like that. If you meet somebody that you feel like this person is worth me giving up on my goals, giving up my dreams, giving up my passions for, I feel like that's the type of person who would never ask you to do it and would never even let you do it. Because once they see that you are passionate about something, they'll encourage you as best as they can, to keep doing it. Even though when it gets tough, because we've all been there in at times where like there's things that we want to do, things we're passionate about, but maybe we're not making that much money from it, so we've got to kind of think about, man, I might have to stop this and do something else, and whatever it may be, and maybe I can't, maybe I need to work more hours, and maybe put this thing on the side, and maybe not working it because I got to pay these bills and blah blah blah. The person who's like worth giving that up for would never let you. They'll be like, you know what, we'll figure this out. We'll figure this out,
right.
and
Exactly.
yeah, I really do believe that. Like, but if you're with somebody that is passionate about something, don't let them give up on it. And if you're passionate about something, that person should not let you give up on your dreams either. It's like, you just figure it out. You'll find ways to figure it out. It might not be easy, might not look
Exactly.
the way you want it to look. You might have to do things a little bit different or whatever it is, but you figure it out. But anybody who's
Yeah,
just going to be
exactly.
like, yeah, work more hours, and I don't care that you don't get to do this thing that you're passionate about. You just gotta, nah, they're almost certainly not going to be worth you doing that for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about give and take too, because it's just like them too. They need to have their own passions and be able
Mm,
to accomplish it, unless they don't have that. So, I mean, that's very important in those instances. It's
indeed.
it's really complicated because like, what if your passion is just like, I want to go to the moon, and then you're deemed like undeemable to like for training, you know? What are you gonna do? Build
Yeah.
an entire moonscape backyard and be like, ta-da! I
It's
did
something,
this. There
right?
you go. You're on the
It's,
moon.
it, it- hey, it's the
Like
closest.
go skydiving. Like there you
Yeah.
go. Can't go
Yeah.
skydiving. You're pregnant. Damn it.
Yeah. Stop being pregnant, I
So,
guess. Like, yes, push that baby out
you
as
know,
quickly as possible. Now go skydiving.
no, you can't do that.
Just push it or
You
force it out.
gotta wait for 9 months. But yeah, so I mean, the whole Vaggie hiding it, I wouldn't say she hid it, but I don't know if she ever had a chance to properly tell her either.
Hmm. Well, that's another
Because,
point as
like,
well,
how
isn't
do
it?
you
Yeah.
know when is the right time? And
Mm.
maybe she had a version of saying it, but she was always loving and supporting for Charlie. So maybe that wasn't on her mind until it came up, you know?
Yeah. That could be it. And I think especially with a character like Charlie, like at least from what we see of Charlie anyway, is that she is for the most part at the forefront, right? She is the loud one in the relationship, so to speak. And sometimes when you're the quiet one in a relationship, yeah, it can be difficult to bring something up because you're with somebody who's maybe more energetic about things and that kind of stuff. So it can be difficult to just be like, hey, let's talk about something completely different right now. And by the way, I used to be an angel, you know what I mean? That can be difficult. So yeah, not to say that makes it Charlie's fault, but yeah, I also can understand why it might not be easy to just bring up as well.
Yeah. Because, like, that's not a little thing. She's part of the people that, like, exterminating like help. So
Yeah.
I would say, like, if you were to have a secret like that, and like, yeah, she's caring, just be like, yes, thank you, like, for taking care of me, blah blah blah. But I have this, and oh my God, great example of my own experience. My husband's diabetic. He needs insulin injections, and he told me, like, on our fourth date, so that's like a month of knowing each other. He's like, "Do you have a fear of needles?" I'm like, "Not really. I have a fear of the sewing machine stabbing through my finger, but I don't think that's the right needle you're talking about." Like, I think anyone would be terrified of a super powerful machine stabbing
Yeah.
through their muscle and bone, okay? So, but he's like, "Yeah, I'm diabetic. Does that bother you?" And like, that was a really calm situation that he told me about it. And I'm like, "No, if you need to have that to live, that's what you got to do. Like, that's normal to me because that's your normal." Like, I've never been with someone that has had diabetes, but that's not going to make me stop.
Mm. You know what though? Like I feel like the way he kind of said that, um, if that was like somebody saying it to me, I might be just relieved that they didn't say like that, they're a crack addict or something. You know what I
Oh
mean?
my
Like, oh,
gosh.
do you have a fear of needles? Because I might need you to inject me every now and then. Like, wait, what? Oh, I'm diabetic.
I
Oh,
didn't sign up for
oh,
this.
yeah, okay, cool, cool. Yeah, oh yeah, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine.
Getting the itches. I need my bed.
Yeah, but yeah, it's
No,
like,
no,
oof.
no. Clearly not that.
Good thing we went heroin and son. It's like, oh, diabetes. Okay, cool. We're fine. We're fine.
No,
We're
we're
fine.
good. We're nice and
Oh,
clean.
that was a close one. That was a close one.
Whew. Not dealing with that. No, sir. We are out.
um, so what's your? I mean, the way the show ended with Lilith and that reveal. What's your say predictions or thoughts on on a season two? Like, how do you think potentially the story could evolve? Like we saw, Pentis Pentis come to heaven. That definitely changes things. We saw Lilith at the end, and that whole deal that got revealed, that changes things. I mean, going forward, it's like the whole thing about demons getting into heaven. We know that's possible now. How do you think this moves for the Hazbin Hotel? How do you think this changes things for the angels and the elders and that whole stuff? Is it more just like nope, nope, nope? We take this one and then everyone know, or is it like, oh, actually, yeah, let's do things differently now since apparently none of us know what's going on anyway. So, what's your thoughts on
No.
that for season two?
So, if there is season two, I don't think they've greenlit it yet. But for season two, I imagine Lilith would actually meet with her daughter because she hasn't spoke to her in 7 years. Um, I think that would be interesting. Right now, the Hazbin Hotel does not know that Pentis is in heaven. They only think he's dead. So it's strange, right? Because we see
Mm,
him get into heaven. We see them put up like a little memorial shrine for his values and deeds, but they don't know that he's there. So they can't really like figure out the ways. They can definitely expand on Alistair's character because Husk, during one of the episodes for Lucifer, so I think it's episode 6, he's like, yeah, big talk for someone else who's on a chain. So it's like we could actually find out who Alistair is serving. So now we know that there are so many different things what happens when you have deals. But Alistair has a deal of his own And so it's just like, okay, who is that? Like, it's definitely got to be above the three V's, Valentina, Vox, and Valentino. So it's like, okay, this has got to be a big baddie, like one of the Lords of Hell. I think they're going to evolve into that. I think we're going to see more interaction with Lucifer and the hotel this time, because if Lilith comes down, there has to be an understanding because we don't understand the dynamic between Lucifer and Lilith. So right now they did a lot of world building and scenario building. So we understand that Lucifer has a very strained relationship with his daughter. He wants to be cool with his daughter, but he's not. And he's like very protective of Charlie too, as seen with his song battle against Alistair, which is one of my favorite musical ones. um, so I really think that they're going to evolve more into that lesser of minor characters and the lords. So we won't see too much of Camilla Carmine, Terrestrial, Rosie, maybe not so much, because the main reason why they introduced Rosie, not only is she a um, demon lord, right? Yeah, a demon lord, or is this what they call him? Anyway, she's a lord of hell. Um, you know, she needed to be there so Charlie can get help fighting a horde of angels because she used all of Carnival Town and Cannibal Town. Sorry, not Carnival. So
Oh,
it's just like, okay, I don't
same
think we're
thing.
gonna get much of that. Yeah, exactly. They're all having fun. And it's just like, I'm not sure if we're just gonna get random more one-off characters or if we're gonna get side characters. Because in Hell of a Boss, they have this Goetia family. So it's just kind of like, okay, I'm not sure where they rank compared to like Lucifer and the other lords because they're like, oh, we're family royalty. It's like, but that doesn't make any sense. So they're like, oh yes, the Goetia line. I think they're the ones that allow demons to transport. So it's just kind of like, not sure. Mhm. So I think that's what they're going to go into and try to make the crossovers now happen. I
Okay.
think it would be interesting if they were able to do that, but I don't know. I'm only speculating this. I'm not part of the production team. I'd be happy if they did, but
Yeah,
I'm okay.
all speculation for now, of course. But yeah, yeah. I mean, as somebody who's only watched the main series and not Hell of a Boss, I mean, my kind of thoughts would be, I guess, something similar to what you said. I mean, they'd have to, the fact that demons don't know that it's possible to get into heaven yet, whether they do know or not. I feel like that kind of thing is the difference between a season 3, 4, 5, and 6. How long they keep that a secret, because that's one of the biggest reasons for the Hazbin Hotel to exist. And once you know it exists, it kind of like, I mean, once you know it's possible, it kind of feels like, well, that's the end of the story. Once you know it can be done, you know, story.
But here's the
You could,
thing. Like, how is it done? It can't just be um like, oh, I have to sacrifice myself for someone else, in the
Oh,
name of
sure,
love.
sure. I
Like
mean,
that just seems so easy. So then everyone can say, "Oh, I'm going to sacrifice myself and stage it," right? You
well, it
know.
has to be genuine though, at least. Yeah,
But
can't.
how can you prove it's genuine?
I mean,
Like
they'd have to have some way
during
of knowing, right? Or we
or
assume they have
do
to have
we?
some way of knowing, or that whether
Exactly.
somebody faked it to try and trick themselves, or whether they actually genuinely did it. And yeah, and yeah, I mean, I guess that that probably wouldn't be the only way to do it. That's just the only way we've seen so far. But
Right.
I mean, if we think that, okay, if they're in hell, we have to assume that they've done something or some things, really really bad to get there in the first place. So in order to get out, they maybe have to do something equally as good or better, to you know what I mean, to get up. Or potentially that's the thing, and maybe the way to get into heaven is different for each demon depending on what they did to get into hell in the first place. So that could be something they explore as well, where it's not just this one way, and it is maybe different for each demon, depending on who they are, what they've done, and so on and so forth. Uh, I think that's
But
something
that's the
that's a
thing.
potential way to a thing to explore.
But that's the thing that's kind of strange, right? So like with excuse me, with Hazbin Hotel, no, with Hell of a Boss, there is this one episode short where Blitzo, the main one of the main characters, is sent on a mini quest to take out a fanfic writer, and all she does is write fan fictions. Okay, nothing crazy, nothing else. Someone put a hit on her. He goes to kill her. So they're mercenaries, aka imp. Um, so he goes out there to kill her, and when she dies, she goes straight to hell. And it's like we don't know exactly what her bad things are, but it almost seems like the almost like the default is like everyone just goes straight to hell. So it's like, wait, but who is going into heaven then? And
Hmm.
it's kind of strange in that aspect.
Yeah, but perhaps that's one of the things they might. Well, not, I wouldn't say they have to, but maybe that's one of the things they might want to consider getting into as well in terms of being a bit more consistent of heaven and hell. Because yeah, right now even on the Has Been a Hotel show, it does seem a bit random. Like it's not clear how say a human goes to heaven or how a human goes to hell. It
But
seems a
that's
bit
also
like
what the angels don't know. They don't know how
yeah.
humans get into heaven
So it's like who's
or
making these
souls.
choices? Are these
Exactly.
choices being made, or is it just like you say, the default is hell and nobody's really checking? So like, what is that actual thing in this show? Like, because I would imagine the creators of the show do have a reasoning behind heaven and hell and how you get to heaven, how you get to hell. They just haven't you know, per purpose, I would assume, haven't put that out there just yet. But right now, yeah, it
Mhm.
does seem a bit random. So, like, I think that would be something to go into in a season two as to, well, how exactly do you get into heaven? And how exactly do you get
I
into hell in this Has Been Hotel
this
world
case instance. Yeah, in
realm?
the other
Yeah.
instance too, is kind
Yeah.
of like if they did bring in God, we could actually get this like, well, I designed it to be like X, Y, and Z. And it's
Mm,
like, well, Adam said this and he fulfilled all these. He's like, yeah, but he did it in this manner. And that's why Pentas got in. And that's the other part too. They weren't focusing on Pentas on the episode when the being judged by the angelic council. It was supposed to be angel dust, which is their first person, but it's interesting how Angel Dust in like episode 2 got jealous of Pentas. Pentas is the one who actually gets redeemed, so it's like it's so strange
mm,
how it was actually foreshadowed, right? So that in season 2, if it does come into fruition, they could actually dive deeper with Angel Dust being like, he got redeemed before I did, despite me like being here at the hotel. Just because you're at a location doesn't mean that you are going to get salvation. Like you going to church and just listening, not actively participating or fulfilling it with your purpose, right? Or your religious sect doesn't
mm,
mean that you're naturally exempt from bad things. Like it doesn't excuse the things you do outside of that location. It's not just a holy ground, right? Like you need to
yes.
take
Yeah.
your gospel with you and practice it, preach it, not preach it, but practice it, do it. Like don't sleep with your neighbor's wife, aka don't cheat, don't be a bad person.
Mm,
You know, they are in a bond, and if you intersect yourself into that bond, you're actually a really bad person.
yeah. That
So
could
it's like,
kind of plain. Oh, sorry.
no, I'm done.
Yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say that could kind of play into the whole thing about knowing the difference between somebody just trying to say do lip service and do it all for show, and somebody who is genuinely actually redeemed. Because at that point, yeah, flipping out the porn star guy. He just said his name. I'm forgetting everybody's
Angel
name right
dust.
now. Angel Dust.
Angel
He was
dust.
a bit. Yeah, Angel was a bit more just there. Whereas well, I guess we as we saw with Pentas, he was more well, but maybe not right in the beginning, but certainly by the time you get to the end, he was more genuine. Um,
No, he
so
really was because like he when Charlie noticed that he wanted to escape, and he's like, if you're going to kill me, just make it painless. But then Charlie's like, just say sorry. Like, you know that you did wrong. Say sorry. And he's like, sorry. Like, he started singing too. So it's like, at that point, he really had nothing to lose. And he really was, I wouldn't say giving it his all, but he was trying more than Angel because he was doing the tasks that Charlie had given. He was making better decisions and he was asking for consent.
Yeah,
Miss
he
Cherry Bomb,
yeah.
I would like to have sex with you.
So yeah, perhaps that was a
Because that
message.
was,
Ask for
I mean,
consent.
yeah, it was. And then he's like, is Cherry still here? That was
um,
one of my favorite episodes. Do you have a favorite episode? Oh my God.
um, do I have a favorite episode? I don't know if I have a favorite episode either, actually. But let's see what sticks out in my mind. Probably the one with when what's the name again? Carmine is
Camilla
teaching.
Carmine.
Yeah, Camilla Carmine is teaching Vaggie how to fight and how to even kill the angels, and how she knew that Vaggie was an angel, before she even mentioned it, because they just sussed it out, say, look, you got a scar on your eye or something like that, your wings or
It's
something,
an
you're hiding your
X.
wings. Yeah, you got the X on your eye. And she was even said you fight like it, and even when she was fighting, she said you fight like an angel because you constantly leaving yourself open. And she was saying that angels fight with a reckless abandonment because they don't believe they can be killed, and that's
Hmm.
part of the arrogance of the angels in this world, that they don't believe that there's anything that can be done to them, so they have this kind of like, I'm not going to defend myself type attitude. And even though Vaggie's not with that anymore, that's how she was trained. But it ultimately meant that Camilla Carmine just knew, like, yeah, you used to be an angel. You might not be saying it right now, so I ain't going to say nothing just yet, but I know. I know. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. Like she doesn't need to tell people. Like it's interesting too, right? Okay, so that's episode 8, by the way.
Yeah,
Um,
cool.
what was it? Like it should be episode 8, right?
It was towards
Yeah.
the end,
Let
so
me
yeah, about there.
it, and because at the end of 7, that's when they find out she's an angel. Let me double check. Camilla Carmine sings in what episode? Camilla Carmine. Okay. Episodes. I like her outfit. I like her. If I get a chance, I probably would cosplay her because I think she, as a mother, I relate to that. Okay. Angelic ballet shoes. That stuff is so cool. Okay, thank you. I don't want advertisements. No, sir. No, thank you. Okay. Click too many times. Okay, stupid. Ba, 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 beep, 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 beep. Trying to find the episode that she did that. Dicka, dicka, dick. Episode scrambled eggs. Personal status. Miscellaneous. Mm, mm, mm. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
week 7, 8,
so
10, 9,
yeah, so
15.
it's episode 7. I was wrong.
Episode 7, okay. It's close. It was close. It was close. That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, so episode 6 is Welcome to Heaven. Okay, got it. Okay, I have my numbers mixed up. I wanted to know. So my favorite episode is number 6. So yours is number 7.
Yeah. Well, certainly that part, that section, anyway. I'm probably not remembering every single thing that happened in the episode right now, but certainly that section sticks out in my mind as a pivotal moment in the series of certainly for Vaggie, anyway. And also just kind of a cool thing where you have characters like Camilla Carmine, who kind of look at kind of look at the bigger picture of things, where she's the one that kills the angel but didn't say anything, and she didn't say anything because of what it could mean
for her daughters.
other demons and her daughters. And like if it's known that it could be done, then it might cause an uprising. But then at this point they don't know if they can do it again. So rather than just like blabbing and saying, oh yeah, we could do this and potentially make things worse, she was like, you know what, I'm going to stay my mouth shut. And I think characters like that are always interesting because like they think maybe like 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of what could potentially happen and don't act out of an immediate need to maybe say gratify things or whatever. They are looking at, well, what could happen if I do this? If I know that it could be done, but if I tell everybody else what could potentially happen, and so until you know more, you don't want to say, you don't say anything.
Yeah, right. Like it's a greater risk to do something along those lines than to share that information rather than to keep quiet.
Yeah. So yeah, that was an interesting bit for me.
Oh, so that's your favorite episode? Do you
Hello
have
Rosie, that
okay?
episode is called episode 7, was it? Yeah, Hello Rosie.
Yes. So do you have a favorite song then? Because that was a pretty good one
You know what?
when she's fighting Baggy.
Yeah, a lot of the songs I would say right now I don't fully remember.
Hmm.
I know there were songs in each episode, um, but I don't remember like the lyrics and stuff like that. Um,
Or the
I'll probably,
imagery.
yeah,
Oh, sadness.
I'd probably
Oh.
go with that one just because, yeah, it was during that bit. Um, but yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
go with that. How about you? Do you have a favorite
Okay.
song?
I do. It's not Poison, but it's the one where Lucifer goes against Alistair and he starts singing, and then Alistair interjects. It's just such a combative battle over like Charlie and just like, oh yeah, well my dick's bigger than your dick. Oh yeah, well my dick's better than your dick. Oh yeah, well I'm better than you. And it was like this real interesting power struggle of like Lucifer, who they depicted as a short, like nobody, even though he's like the king of hell, you know?
Mm,
Like, and he was like having a hard time proving to his daughter like he means something, but he doesn't know his daughter, versus Alistair, this high-ranking demon, knows his daughter and is like, you could call me dad, and that rubs Lucifer like it rubs Lucifer the wrong way so quickly. And I love that song battle that they have. And I love the part where they just start playing different instruments. It's so funny because Lucifer just gets so mad. And then he pulls out this gold violin out of nowhere and he just starts fiddling away. And I'm like, oh, how funny. I really like that scene because he's got this like super mad, angry face while strumming away on a little gold fiddle. It's got such imagery.
yeah, that was I think that was towards one of the last few episodes, wasn't it?
Episode 5, I believe.
5, okay. Later
Yeah.
half, I guess. Then yeah, cool.
Yeah, because it's right
Or
before
ish.
Welcome to Heaven. It's dad meets dad kind of thing, or dead beat dad, something with dad
Yeah,
in it.
Dad beat Dad. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like that's when we get introduced to Lucifer for the very first time in that universe. And it's just like, oh, he's crazy because he's talking about rubber duckies and he has nothing really going for him. And he wants to seem cool to his daughter and he wants to hang out with his daughter, but he doesn't know how. And I'm like, oh my God, that's going to be me as a parent. Maybe. I don't know. I hope not. You know, it's like my daughter wants to hang out with me. I'm going to be going to my daughter's house. Yeah, I got something to do. And then when you go, then you like start judging. And then it's just like, yeah, but then you have someone that's helping her. And then you're like, you feel so left out. And I'm just
You
like,
know what?
oh, hmm,
One day, and may this day be a long time from now, but one day, yeah, your kids are gonna be embarrassed to hang out with you. One
I
day,
know.
it's gonna be, Mom, can you drop me off a bit further away from the school, please? You know, no, that's
Exactly.
fine.
And I'll be like,
I'm
I'm
just
going
gonna hang out with my
back.
friends. It's, you know. It's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
it's like, can you not do your anime thing? Sure, bye. And I know it's gonna happen. It's gonna break my heart. But that's how you know they're growing up and becoming their own person.
Mm.
And I'm okay with that because, like, I don't want to say I'm ready to leave my boys, but I'm like, I'm ready to do my own thing again. Like, I miss doing my own thing. I miss being able to have time for myself, like, properly. Like, it's really hard sometimes just to even put on makeup. So it's just like, oh yeah, why aren't you doing as much cosplay content? It's like, do you know how hard it is to focus on having good makeup with having kids rip out your hair? No, it's not possible. Anytime I'm with Lucian, no fret, he will grab my hair because it's very long. It's down to my waist, a little longer than my waist. And he's just like, he can't help it either because he's a baby. He has no control over like his functions like us
Just
as
grabbing
adults.
things. Yeah.
No, it's just my hair because he can't hold a rattle yet. So,
Is he pulling real
yay.
hard on it, like trying to climb up it like Rapunzel?
It feels like it. I'm not going to tell you no because it definitely feels like it.
Like,
It's like, little baby, please stop.
yeah.
Not
The
for
day
me.
will come
Not
where
nice.
you're gonna miss that he grabbed on your hairs and tugged on it.
No, oh my God,
You're gonna
not
miss
at
that.
all. So,
You
with my
it might suck now,
genealogy,
but one day you can be like, man, I miss the days when you used to grab my hair.
no, absolutely not. Because with my genealogy, um, my mom told me this when we spoke. She's like, "Yeah, now that I've gotten older, my hair type has changed." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "I get curly hair just like your grandmother." I'm like, "That explains it because I'm getting curly hair now. My hair is not straight. Like when I come out of the shower, there's a lot of more tight curls out of my head as opposed to straight hair just falling down or to the side." So I'm like, "Oh God, I'm getting kinky hair." Like, calm down. Do you need to be bondaged?
Well, I mean,
So I don't have a problem with it, but when you grow up with a certain hair type and then it changes, like it's wild, you know? You didn't think
mm,
that your body could go through more metamorphosis. One of them being, yes, I know I could go through pregnancy and then your body will eventually snap back, but it's not like a new puberty situation.
okay. So your hair's potentially, well, not even potential, it is getting curlier as, I guess, as time moves on. Like sort of straight now, getting curly, and maybe eventually just be like a Jerry curl or something. Like,
I don't know. It definitely curls. It's a big curl. It's not a small one.
oh, okay.
Like it's not tight.
Okay, that could be
And
then
it's like
maybe by the time you're like, I don't know, 45, 50, your hair could look like it's just got some bounce in it.
yeah, exactly. And it's just like, I'm not used to this. I'm just used to coming out of the shower and my hair is straight. Now I'm like, oh, I have to straighten my hair. Otherwise, I'm going to see all these like curly flyaways. And it's not a bad thing. It's not. But it's like surprising. And then my kids are going to say I'm not cool.
Yeah. I mean, they'd be like,
How
what, I mean, by the time you all say 50, they'd be like, what, 10, 11 kind of age? Or,
um let's see, they're 2 right now. So they'll be like 13.
oh, yeah, yeah, definitely. You won't be too cool no more by the time teenage year starts kicking in. You
Oh,
know, you'd be like,
easily. I'm just going
Mom,
to be like,
leave me
I'm going to be
alone,
like,
Mom.
once they're 13, I'll be like, all right, I'm dyeing my hair. They'll be like, oh, mom, can you just be normal? I'm like, what? What do you mean? They're like, why do you have to dye your hair green?
Mm,
Why can't I?
Mom, when my friends coming over, I can't see you like this. Mom.
Mom, can you not cosplay that day? Okay. I guess
Mom.
I'll just go video game. Mom, can you, maybe just not video game and go crazy that day?
Mom, yeah, can you not play League of Legends anymore? Like, Mom. Can you still
Oh,
send me friends
God.
requests on Fortnite?
No,
Mom.
Fortnite season 65. At that point, just make Fortnite too.
Yeah. Oh, they'll never make a Fortnite 2. I don't play Fortnite, but I feel pretty confident saying there will never be a Fortnite 2. Just be endless updates. Just be
Oh, yeah, that's
endless
where League
updates.
is.
Yeah,
That's why they wouldn't have League of Legends too. It would kill the
yeah,
player base.
yeah. Just
Like it's
endless
a
updates.
client, so
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, right? I think when you got a game like that, to just rather than do a part two, just update it because like by now, Fortnite, and I know, and as a non-Fortnite player, I know that Fortnite now is nothing like Fortnite when it started. So like, yeah,
oh
why
yeah,
bother with a part two? Just keep doing updates, because that's
yeah.
clearly what their market and their player base look for, and it's worked for them. So yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Same with League, because like
Yeah.
League hasn't really changed it much. It still is the same thing, but they've added to it. So there's
Yeah.
that in a bag of chips.
And
But
speaking of that,
yeah,
actually, not to go too far off topic, but speaking of that sort of thing now that's come up, Overwatch, I feel like they ruined Overwatch by doing Overwatch 2. Like, they really did.
they did.
Because they really, I mean, Overwatch was kind of falling off a little bit anyway, to be fair, but Overwatch 2 just was like the nail in the coffin. Like, instead of doing an Overwatch 2, it should have been an update, because effectively that's all it really was in the end anyway. It was just an
It was
update,
a lesser
you know,
update. It's a
and
downgrade.
with a two on the end, that they just put. Oh, it's like what? There's nothing two about it. It's the same game, with some tweaks and changes here and there, which is what they've always done. But yeah, like they ruined it. They ruined it.
That's so sad. Were
Yeah,
you big on Overwatch? I used to love
a
playing it,
little,
and then they
yeah.
just kept updating it too much, and it just became this like I really don't enjoy it anymore after a certain point.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what happened with me. I mean, I wouldn't say I was super big on it, but definitely did play it quite. It was definitely my multiplayer game of choice for a good while. And I don't usually play a lot of multiplayer games. Most of them I just don't get into. But Overwatch was the one that I would come back to. I'd play it a little bit, maybe leave it alone for a while, come back to it, and so I wasn't on it all the time, but definitely over the period of a few years, or I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years. I can't remember how long now, but over a few years, I was playing it fairly consistently, excuse me.
Yeah.
And then yeah, Overwatch 2 came out. I think I hadn't played it for a while by the time Overwatch 2 came out, but I got onto it with Overwatch 2, got back onto it, and I was like, it was I didn't hate it, but at the same time, it didn't feel like the changes were worthwhile. It certainly didn't feel like they changed enough to call it a part two. And in the end, it just kind of got bored and just left it alone. And I don't know what's going on with Overwatch now. I haven't played it for so long now. So yeah.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. I loved Overwatch 1. Like I was able to play mainly all attackers, and then I played Reinhardt for a hot minute. I really liked um no, Bastion. Bastion was fun,
Mm.
and Torbjorn was
Oh yeah, yeah,
fun. But
Torbjorn.
I
Yeah, he
wasn't
had
I was
that
never
lava move. Yeah,
good
yeah,
with Torbjorn. I was never good with him, but I liked playing as him. I was not
yeah.
good as Junkrat. I sucked. I wish I was so much better with Widowmaker. I was not good
Widowmaker was
with
pretty cool.
Widowmaker.
I liked Widowmaker a
Yeah.
lot. She was actually my main for a little bit. But yeah, I wasn't that good at her either. Like I liked that she did the sniper, because Widowmaker had the sniper rifle, and I could be okay with a sniper, but I feel like with games like this, I tend to prefer being a bit more up close. But I did
Yeah.
like Widowmaker. She was a cool character. She had that one shot, one kill. I think that she would say. But I
Hmm.
but Tracer was a character that I really liked as well. But like you said, like with Jordan, I just wasn't that good with her. I liked the character,
Yeah.
but I really just wasn't that good with her. But I'll say the characters that I was pretty good with was damn it, Phasma. No, blanking on her name. Phasma? No, that's not it. Fatum. Oh, begins with a P.
Reaper?
She had like the cannons. Oh,
Cannons.
flipping out. Overwatch.
What are you talking
Uh,
about?
Farah.
Farah.
Yeah, I was pretty good at
Yeah.
Farah. So Farah was like my main for a good while, like pretty much my go-to
Yeah,
character.
justice reigns from
So yeah,
above.
that's the one. Yeah, she had that wicked move that she would do, but they tweaked her quite a bit in one of the updates, and they made her basically just nerfed her, and it
That
kind of
reminds
made
me of what they did
sense
with
to be fair,
Mercy.
but it sucked in the end.
Dude, it was so bad with the Mercies. Like when they changed Mercy's ultimate from like Heroes Never Die to Valkyrie, like she was still broken at a certain point, but it wasn't the same game anymore. It just wasn't
Mm,
fun. Yeah, it's broken, but that's part of the fun of games of when things are broken and like finding exploits is fun, you know?
yeah,
But
yeah. As long as it
when you
doesn't
change it
stop
too
you from
much,
playing the game, it's fine. You know what I mean? Like,
hmm
yeah,
like
Mercy was a cool
QA should have
character.
caught that. And if you launch it, it's not QA's fault and you don't need to
Yeah.
change it. Like there was a few other changes, like giving Diva extra like mini guns. That was okay. Because I felt like, or was it rockets? Yeah, she had extra rockets attached, and I'm like, I think she needed that. But like fully changing a complete kit, I'm like, come
Mm,
on. There's already such a roster. You do not need to do that. If anything, make a new character. So what if they keep choosing the same character? You need to like do something about the other characters,
mm,
like and not nerf characters. You know what I mean? Because it's
yeah,
like it's so hard, and that's why like I hate playing League of Legends sometimes because it's like, oh, why does this do much more damage? Why is this less damage on this character? And it's like I don't have time to keep up with updates. And that's kind of like why I don't like playing fighting games for newer generations. Because it's like, oh yeah, we updated this so this does less damage and this character got buffed. I'm like, but why? I want to learn the base game and I don't have to keep learning it. I understand that it's a
yeah,
longevity of a project, but that's the problem. You should, it's kind of like, okay, I have a pair of underwear. I've already used it. I should have a new one, right? Like if something is soiled and done and used, get a new one. And then you wash it and then you can have another one, right? But it just seems like people are like, oh, I'm just going to flip this underwear inside out and wear it, even though it's still dirty and used. And it's like you're trying to get the most use out of one use of a video game. Too
yeah,
much now. And I'm like,
yeah. I think I get
why?
that. I can get. I mean, yeah, they, yeah. I mean, the thing with like that sort of thing when it comes, I mean, yeah, the characters, of course, there needs to be some kind of balance between different characters and any kind. You can't have certainly you can't have one character that's like invincible while everyone else is super weak. That doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, it's like, so what if maybe one character is a little bit off balance? Like, it's not a problem because you could usually find ways of being tactical around that, and that's kind of part of the fun with these games. Like, it's not, you can't just take on every character in the same exact way. That you might have to think about how you take on this character and how you take on that character and what works best with this. And that's kind of part of what you do when you're learning the game. But then when you keep tweaking and changing it, you have to relearn that again and it's just long. You know, it's just
It
long.
really is on a
Yeah.
different tangent.
Yeah.
Oopsies.
But
But
yeah, a little
yeah,
bit of
like,
a sidetrack.
yeah, I
But
mean,
with oh, sorry.
yeah, but I mean, I really do think with Hazbin, if they are able to have a second season, I hope they answer a little bit of the questions that we brought up of like,
Yeah.
well, what it is Lilith doing? Like, why is she there? Is that just supposed to help us segue for you to be able to have a season two? Like, it's so popular at anime conventions. There's always at least like one Charlie cosplayer now, or an Alistair. Like they're just popular characters. They're so likable, despite being like demons and such. I mean, Alistair is pretty likable to begin with. I think he's cool,
All right. So
but he's
with
not my.
he's not your
Go
favorite.
on.
I was going to say he's not your
Yeah,
favorite. Okay.
he's not my
Um.
favorite, but he's likable.
Okay. Okay. Now I was just going to say that with that then said, before we finish off today, was there anything else you think we need to bring up about Has Been a Hotel? Anything we haven't mentioned, or anything important, or anything else that needs to be said before we
Yeah, I honestly don't
hit
think
the
I like
stop
let
record?
me go on this little let me go
Oh
on
no,
this
it's
little
all
tangent.
good. It's
I
all good.
honestly don't think they needed to make it into a musical. I think it could have been carried just fine without
Okay,
music.
yeah,
Granted,
yeah.
the music art is bopping. I like a lot of them, but I'm just like, but was it necessary? Probably not. Two of the songs that I like are Poison and the Carmela Carmine song. But it's just like, was it necessary? I really don't think it was necessary. Like it's so. artsy. I think they could have focused more on the story and storytelling than having like this musical hit number. Granted, Poison is really popular with a lot of people. They're like, oh yeah, I just can't get over it. It's so catchy. I'm like, yeah, but the topic of it is drug abuse and like uh like spousal abuse too. So
Mm,
I'm just like, it's not that good. On top of that, other tangent that I want to bring up, like this is such a hot topic amongst the kitty and like convention talk from the people that I have on my Facebook and feeds and groups is like parents aren't letting kids watch this show. And when I got to the episode where Angel Dust shows that he's getting abused, and he's like a drug addict for Valentino, it's like that made me really heartbroken. And it made me think, oh my gosh, as a parent, I wouldn't want my kids watching the show because of like the abuse that he suffers. And then it's like, yeah, I know they're in hell, but these kids these days are just watching it thinking, like, wow, I can't wait to cosplay Angel Dust. I'm like, no. First off, he's a
yeah,
porn star, and he's just like, oh yeah, bang me every which way till next Sunday, right? And it's like, okay, that's not good. And then they're cosplaying him a drug addict, and it's like this character doesn't actually grow too much compared to like other characters, so or at all, like if you want to say that. But it's just kind of like, oh goodness. And it's just like, I wish there was a better way for parents to know not all cartoons are meant for child consumption. You know what I mean?
for
Because it's just
sure.
like hentai is not for kids. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
hentai is
it's just
barely
not
for
a good thing.
anybody.
Like, for real, that's a
Yeah,
whole nother topic. But anyways,
that's a bit out
so
there. Oof, but yeah, yeah.
earlier this year, I was having lunch with some congoers. I was like by myself. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have a seat here. Is it okay? And I was like, how are you doing? And blah, blah, blah. So later in this conversation, they're now my friends. It wasn't being creepy. I was like, oh, like you're cosplaying as Charlie. That's nice. How old are you? She's like, I'm 12. I'm like, oh, so did you watch it? She's like, no, I just really like the character. I'm like, oh, well, that's pleasant. So like, I didn't have that topic. But her friend, who was also tall, she's like, yeah, I heard that we're not supposed to watch that show. I'm like, for good reason. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, the show deals with, at that point, I hadn't watched it. So I was paraphrasing what I knew. And I
Mm,
was saying to the 12-year-olds, I'm like, it deals with a lot of relationship abuse and drug usage. And it's just very violent in some cases that might actually hurt your mentality. And before I was able to finish my sentence, the 12-year-old not cosplaying Charlie was saying, I'm not ready to hear more. I don't think I'm okay hearing even just those words that you said right now.
mm,
I'm like, okay, there you
yeah,
go. Because I'm like, I'm not your parent. I shouldn't parent you. But
yeah.
as an adult, I'm going to tell you just the light amount. I'm not going to tell you to search it out. But there is a lot of things that could really mess with your mind that you're not ready for. And some people are never ready for it. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Because like
no, for
there are some people in the world who are like, oh, I don't watch porn. I can't. I'm too church goody two shoes. Not saying that every person who goes to church is a goody two shoe like braring type of
yeah,
person.
yeah.
Like it's just too hardcore for them, or there's like other things. Like, and I mean, you see stuff in life. Like you get to the wrong side of the internet, you're gonna see a bloody butthole. You might see like beheadings in a third world country. You don't know what's out there, but if you go too far, you're gonna find something you don't want to see.
For
That
sure.
being said, yeah, right.
Yeah, I feel
So
like
I
this.
mean, go on.
Oh, sorry.
You
Yeah, I
know,
was gonna say, I just feel like at this day and age, though, like it's not like a new thing in terms of cartoons being made for adults. Like people kind of know from the days of Beavis and Butthead or South Park, and that's like 25 plus years ago. That not every animation is made for children. Okay, it's kind of a thing. So by now, like by the time a show like Hazbin Hotel comes along, it's clearly rated 18. You know what I mean? Like it's not even like it's not a secret. It's like it's clearly rated 18. This is not a show for children, you know. And yeah, I just feel like at that
Even the
point,
YouTube
parents should
channel
know.
has that. Yeah, even the YouTube channel has that. Like this is TV 18, so
Mm,
it's meant for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised, and that's on the YouTube channel too. So it's not like it's made for kids. There is
yeah,
a warning, and it's like you, as a creator, you can only do so much, because
yeah,
once it becomes in the hands of the public, it is not your responsibility. Now,
for
if it's
sure.
a platform like Facebook or Meta, like when you sign up for the terms of service, they put it in their terms of service that like you are willing to accept any kind of content that is put on there. And then it's up to them if they want to police it. You know what I mean? Because like if you put pornographic content on their platform, they have the right to remove it because they don't want it on their platform. Versus X, they're like they're like the same thing. They're like, but we allow you to have pornographic content on
Yeah,
X.
it just
You
needs to be
see,
flagged or something,
it's
or yeah,
yeah, it's part of their terms of service. And then for parents to be like, oh no, but you have this, and it's like, yeah, but it's part of our terms of service that it's allowed to have it. That's why, yeah. But you know, YouTube has YouTube Kids, like Amazon Prime has kids shows.
mm,
Um, there's TV shows such as like the 90s, what was it? The 90s they had Duckman and Aeon Flux, which I was like, oh, these are cartoons. And I really did not understand a single lick of it. I was just watching it to watch it. I don't remember any of the themes. I just remember this is not a cartoon for kids because like Bugs Bunny, I remember all of those. And some of those
yeah,
situations
classic.
were not meant for kids, you know what I mean? Because
What
it's
Bugs
like, I
Bunny?
would love, yeah,
I mean, Bugs Bunny did get
like
shot a lot actually. Or well, Fudd got shot really, but yeah, a lot of
Elmer
gunshots in Bugs
Fudd
Bunny.
shot Daffy a lot, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
shot right in the
Daffy got
face
the
as well,
brunt of the
close
jokes.
range with a shotgun right in the face. That would happen a lot. Like
Exactly,
that was yeah, it was actually a
exactly.
pretty
And
violent
like
show actually.
it's a very like inappropriate show for this day and age, but I grew up with it.
Yeah,
And it's different because I just don't know what the generational divide is now. But like Bugs Bunny would dress up as a woman, go up, kiss Elmer Fudd, that's without consent. We already have cross-dressing. And then like manipulation. And then he's like, I would love a duck dinner. So then Elmer Fudd would go over and shoot Daffy Duck in the face. And then goes up to Bugs Bunny, you're despicable. And like that was the cartoons we grew up with, right? But you
yeah.
can't have that in this day and age. And
Nah,
it's
that
just
would
like,
not fly at all.
exactly. So it's just like, that was geared towards both kids and adults, weirdly. But, this clearly isn't because she's like, fuck you, Karen. Or it's just like, oh yeah, I want drugs. It's like, oh daddy, I love having and sucking long, big. I was gonna say hot dogs, but dicks too. Like,
Yeah,
it's clearly not for kids.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that I
yeah.
think those are the two tangents I'm gonna end on. It didn't need to have music. It's welcomed. It was good.
Mm,
And like I really hope people understand like it is the parents' fault to a certain degree, right? Like if they want to access like Amazon Prime, they have a way to police it because we have a kid's account for Mario and then our parental accounts are actually locked by passcode. So
yeah, a
there's
lot of
that.
these platforms do have like parental controls, like Netflix, Amazon, and I assume like and Disney Plus as well. And I assume Apple would have
Disney
their,
Plus does as
but
well.
yeah, they all have kind of ways you could control and content and passcodes and things like that, which people should definitely explore. And to be honest, I would say that I'm not totally against the idea of parents letting their kids watch like 18 rated shows or shows that they're old enough for. But I do think that if you are going to do it, then you have to understand that it is a show that is not meant for them, and you need to be able to have these conversations with your kids if that comes up. Like if you're going to let them watch it, then yeah, be prepared to have the conversations afterwards as well, because a show that is rated 18 being watched by an 8-year old might have some things in it that are just not ready to see. And if you're not prepared to have those conversations afterwards, just don't do it. Just don't do it. So I don't have a problem with it,
Exactly.
but yeah, I'm just saying be prepared to discuss it as well and not just be like, well, I watched it when I was a kid and I turned out fine. Yeah, but that was a,
But
5
that's who
generations
you
ago.
are.
You know what I mean? It's not the same right now. You know, it's not the same right now.
Exactly.
So, yeah. But as far as
It's just
oh,
so
sorry, Karen.
different. It's just so different because like our mentality isn't the same. We're not growing up with like social media at our fingertips. The amount of knowledge spread is just so vast. And we don't even know if it's like the correct ones either. Like correct what is this? Correct like knowledge. Because you could be following someone and spreading lies, quote being like flat earthers. They think the world is flat. I'm like, uh, no, it's not, but
Yeah.
okay. Like, what the hell?
People believe that. Yeah, there's people who believe that. Well, if the Earth
Yeah,
is
just
round, then how come it isn't? What?
it's like, you might want to just not talk anymore. Like, you need to just not. And they're like, oh, but the Earth is shaped differently. It's actually this way. It's like, stop talking. You're angering me.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, people could believe what they want to believe at the end of the day. Like, I honestly don't care if the Earth is round, flat, oblong. As long as I get on the plane from one city and I go to the city that I want to go to, I don't care what shape the Earth is, quite frankly. Do you know what I mean? As long as a pilot knows where he's going, we're good. But yeah, it's like, you know what? People get mad into these sorts of things and conspiracy. That's like, I don't care, bro. I actually don't care. Like, but hey.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's just another tangent again.
Yeah. Oh wait, no. I mean, that might sound a bit rude. You're cool. I care about what you're saying. I meant like the whole kind of flat earther, just that. Yeah, like people just get into that. But yeah, no, you're cool. You're cool. Sorry for that.
Oh,
I'm just realizing that might sound a
no,
bit rude. No, you're cool. I'm cool with
no,
you.
you're fine.
But yeah, all right, good.
Yeah, no, 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 you're totally fine. I knew what you were talking about.
Awesome. Good.
All right. I just
um,
think, but yeah,
but yeah, as far as the musical thing goes, I would say that musicals do seem a bit hit and miss in the modern world because personally for me, I like most musicals that I've seen. When I've watched musicals like movies and stuff like that, I've enjoyed them and the songs are cool and things like that. Some of my favorite movies are musicals. So I don't mind that. But I would say that as far as Hazbin Hotel goes, yeah, you're right. I think it probably didn't necessarily need it. It's fine that it is. Like I said before, I feel like I've forgotten most of the songs anyway. So yeah, it probably didn't really need it. But yeah, musicals are kind of like some people love them, a lot of people seem to hate them. I know with the new movie, was it Joker Part 2, Joker Folie à Deux.
hmm
I haven't seen that movie yet, but I do know that it's a musical, and apparently a lot of people hate that it's a musical. I'm kind of like, I still want to say it, and I like musicals, so I still want to get around to that one eventually. But yeah, musicals just they seem quite controversial these days for some reason. They do seem quite controversial, but hey, I'm on board with musicals. I like them. Generally speaking, I like them. So, but yeah, I don't think
yeah,
this necessarily needed it either.
yeah. I really don't think it's necessary. It's, it's okay. I think it's nice that they have it and it has great visuals that way. But again, not necessary. That's fine.
Mm.
Oh,
Alrighty then.
okay. We good.
Well, after 3 hours and 3 minutes, I
Oh,
think
are
that's
you including our mess ups too?
well, in that case, it's probably about 5 hours. Well, maybe
Ah,
not that long,
bad.
but yeah, we had a little bit of a mishap, a little bit of shenanigans. No, that's not the right word. Yeah, mishap. We go with mishaps. But we got there. Inshallah, we got there. Or mashallah, actually, mashallah, we got there. But anyway, yeah, that's gonna bring us to the end of the episode. Let us know what you think of Hazbin Hotel. If you've watched it, if you have any thoughts on it, let me know if you agree, disagree with anything we said. Keep it respectful, because if you don't, I will cuss you out in the comments. Just saying. I'm just saying,
Oh
I
no.
am not the bigger person. I am very petty. So you've been warned. um,
Someone clip that.
I'm very well, maybe not very, but I can be. I can be. I have my moments.
It's a thing.
It's yeah, definitely a thing. But yeah, it's going to bring us to the end of this episode. Let us know what you think. Thank you for watching and or listening. And until whenever, if ever, peace.